Hi there, and welcome to the Waffle Hour.
I am Giger.
I'm Ben.
It is a delight to have anyone here, really.
We're not actually setting very high expectations for anyone listening to this podcast.
No, we never do. My expectations are always incredibly low. That way you're never disappointed.
I'm constantly disappointed.
That's your fault.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
I'm always assuming everything's gonna be terrible, and then when it's not, it's like, cool. But then when it is terrible, it's like, well, I anticipated that.
I think they call that being an optimist with experience.
That's a good way to put that. I like that a lot.
So, in this podcast, you know what? We should probably fully introduce ourselves first.
Oh, probably. I am Ryan, otherwise known as Giger. My hobbies and interests include video games, board games, movies, and not movies.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons is also one of them.
You were going to be talking about that, I think, in this first episode.
You are correct. There's another thing I'm going to talk about eventually, which is porn games.
Really?
I know that sounds weird.
It sounds super weird.
It's not
I'm
in
not
this.
sure if I'm prepared to do that.
We're not doing that in this episode. I have a specific reason for it, and it's not what you think. But I am going to talk about that eventually. That is another one of my interests.
Okay, I thought, because you didn't say anime, I was going to bring that up, so that I thought that could be the most embarrassing thing about you, but no, you went straight into the porn games.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, well, I'm Ben, and I don't actually have any interest in porn games.
That's fair.
I do like other video games, though. I think this podcast is going to be mostly us talking about video games, because that seems to be the big common thread.
So far.
We like board games, movies, comic books. I hate anime, unfortunately.
That's
Not
fair.
like hate. I got a complicated relationship to anime.
It's fair to not like a lot of anime. If you just watch, if you just put a random thing, like a wheel of all the anime, and you watch one randomly, you're gonna get shit most of the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think most anime is trash. But I also think most comic books are trash, and maybe, most everything is trash to a certain extent. It's just easier for me to find a good video game or a good movie than it is for me to find a good anime.
That's probably true. We both have a passing interest in D&D at the very minimum.
Yeah.
I can say that with confidence.
We like to talk about D&D.
We don't always like playing it. I mean, I am playing it. Ben's not.
And there's board games. We both like board games.
We love board games. The problem with board games is that right now there isn't a lot of news because you have to be around people to play board games, and most people can't do that.
I swear, we'll just have an entire episode where we do nothing but talk about how amazing Twilight Imperium is.
We're going to talk about Twilight Imperium. We're going to talk about Inish. We're going to talk about, what is the game we haven't played in forever that I own?
Dune?
The other one. The one we actually haven't played in forever. Cosmic Encounter.
Cosmic Encounter. Holy crap. Yeah, we haven't played Cosmic Encounter forever.
That's probably my fault, because I've played every single game of that we've ever played, and I'm bored of it.
Fair enough.
But I want.
It's amazing that anyone could get bored of Cosmic Encounter, but here we are.
I just played it so much.
But anyway, listeners, we're not going to be talking about any of that stuff.
No.
Today, we are going to be talking about, I believe, I'm going to have talk about the game Trials of Mana a little bit.
Yep.
And Giger, he wanted to talk about
Jedi Fallen Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
Gato Robot.
Gato Roboto?
Gato Roboto.
That's the indie game, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
I've been playing Smash Brothers, as I always am, and I've got some ideas I want to share about that.
And ARMS.
And ARMS. Yes, ARMS is a game for the Switch. If you haven't heard about that, I've got some opinions to share on that.
I'm going to talk about my D&D sessions.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good way to wrap it up, is just talk about your last D&D games.
Yes.
That you've been doing.
It'll be enjoyable. I think people will find it fun.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. This is our show. Stay tuned, and hopefully you'll find what we talk about interesting.
Or not.
Or not.
It's always a possibility.
Or we might all just die. Alright, so tell me about Jedi Fallen Order and your experience with it.
Okay, so I played it and beat it. And initially I played it and I was really iffy on the story because I didn't pay attention to the first half of it.
Yeah.
Which was not intentional. It was just lost me. But then it got me back. And then I beat it. And when I beat it, the end of the story, which I'm not going to spoil right now, it was...
well, actually, are we going to spoil it during this discussion? Because I know the ending.
Likely. We're probably going to spoil it because I I need to vent.
All right, we'll do a spoiler warning when we actually talk about it, but let's just talk about.
Yes.
Okay.
When I beat it, I came to a realization that should have dawned on me immediately when I turned the game on, and I'm sure it has dawned on to you even now, that I didn't realize, and that is that it's just such a Star Wars product, and it's less of a game than I ever thought.
Oh, okay.
I was really shocked, but like the ending, I'm just gonna tell you now why I felt this way. So spoiler warning. Vader shows up at the very end.
Yeah, I know, and people love it.
They're dumb.
I know, I agree, but
as soon as I saw him, and as soon as he was so stupid. He didn't do anything.
he wrecked up the ship, and he did the show-offy Vader is a big bad. It was literally just the ending of Rogue One again.
He literally shows up.
I hated it for the same reason I hated the ending of Rogue One.
He literally shows up, and he's like, "This is all powerful. You can't touch him. There's nothing you're going to be able to do. You're not even close to his level." And then he destroys parts of the ship in front of you. He could just grab you and kill you, because that's what he wants to do. But no. And then at the very end, the most annoying part to me was the girl, the seer, the girl who's with you the whole story.
Yeah.
She apparently managed to live. She attacked him, and he threw her into a pit of lava, and somehow she came back from that. But she destroys part of the containment, because it's an underwater facility, so that you can swim out.
Yeah.
Which is stupid, because Vader, instead of, going after you, he thinks, I'm going to stop the water from flooding the space station.
Maybe it was an expensive space station.
Every single iteration of Darth Vader has proven that he doesn't give a fuck about that.
This is true.
Every single one.
He's not really a team player when it comes to the organization he's part of.
Furthest possible thing to that. He's literally killed people for no reason in the movies. And you're going to tell me that he's going to stop his pursuit of the Jedi that's threatening his entire being, and he's going to go ahead and put some water up with the Force?
I'm going to be honest. I don't have, strong opinions on, trying to say whether a character would or wouldn't do a thing in whatever and blame the writer for writing a character poorly. I agree with you, but I also just don't care that much. I feel like it would have been better if just Vader wasn't there at all.
Yes. I agree. It would have been better if Vader wasn't there. My problem is, isn't even necessarily that his character wouldn't do that. It's just that it's proven in the short period of time where he's with you that he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He just destroyed a large part of the facility.
Yeah.
And now he's about to stop and prepare it. It was just so bothering.
I don't remember Vader's actions super well in that moment. Like I said, okay, I saw the ending. I watched a friend play the final boss and play through that ending sequence. And funny story, and one of the reasons why he was so salty about the game was that we had no idea that was the final boss, and we had every reason to think that was only a halfway point in the game.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in the ending, obviously.
It was just so annoying. And when it happened, when he shows up, as soon as he shows up, I was like, oh my god, I didn't just play a game, I just played what Disney wanted me to play, like an idiot.
You played a commercial.
Yeah, I was so upset. And I don't usually care, because if it's good, and the game is good, the gameplay is enjoyable enough to where I would recommend the game. Even though I have problems with it. But the fact that it was just I was so blinded by just having fun with Star Wars, I didn't even think about it, and he just shows up.
Oh, that's a big crime, that you had fun with Star Wars for
I guess. 4 hours. I'm not saying it's a crime, I'm just saying that I'm upset that I didn't realize. I should have realized when I was playing it, when Saw Gerrera showed up. Some dude from Rogue One that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
He just shows up, and it's why is he here? Oh, well.
It's not like a clever lore thing, it's not like a big revelation in the
just,
story.
Look, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, here's a reference to a thing and a thing. Here's another reference to a thing. Hey, everyone loves Darth Vader. Let's have him show up at the end and wreck shit up.
Hey, the Zepho, did you read the comics? I read the comics. That was the other thing. I read the comics, and they have characters from the comics. No, you do not. I read the Darth Vader comic, and they took characters from the Darth Vader comic. And it was the most recent one that I read, and they don't act the same way. No one's this. There's no consistency. It's like, what's even the point then?
That kind of reminds me. I did kind of read a little bit of the Clone Wars comics when they were doing those original 5-minute Clone Wars cartoons by the Samurai Jack guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking how incredibly different they were and how they didn't... What was the point of them both existing when they were both telling two different stories with two completely different takes on the same characters?
Yeah.
Like, there was like a bounty hunter character in those early things named like Dirge or something like that.
Okay.
And in the cartoon, he was like completely silent. He was just like this quiet badass. And in the comic, he would not shut up. And I feel like this is, like, we're not talking about the same character. These are portrayed completely differently.
That's exactly how I felt in the game. It was so bothersome to me.
I don't take the comics very seriously, because I don't take Star Wars canon very seriously, and I feel like for every, like, one good Star Wars story you're going to get out of it, whether that's a game, a comic, a book or whatever, or a movie, sadly enough.
Yeah.
There's going to be
2 others that fuck it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math here. Like, yes, I was going to say 6 others, but I guess there was 3 good.
I would
movies.
count like the first trilogy, so this whole story, then a second story, then a third.
How many Star Wars movies exist right now? There's 3,
9.
6, 9,
10,
10, 11.
11, you're right.
So it's a 3-11 ratio of good versus, or 8 ratio.
I don't
3/8 ratio for good to bad Star Wars movies.
I don't think that I could rate a bunch of them as necessarily bad. Like, I know you didn't like Rogue One. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was that
I didn't
bad.
actually hate it either, but that's because I felt like it was more of a video game than it was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, these characters aren't, like, compelling, but they are interesting in the way that I would love to have, like, them on my party in a video game. If I was playing Star Wars Rogue One, the video game, I would love the blind wizard dude. I would love the guy with all of his guns and stuff. I would love this snarky, sarcastic robot who, like, thinking about it as a movie, God, I hate that robot. He's so annoying. But as a video game party member, he'd be great.
I think, like, when it comes to bad Star Wars movies, I think the ones that are, like, truly bad, the ones that are really, really terrible, would have to be the original prequels. The prequels.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are really genuinely bad.
I would say they're irredeemable, but I was proven wrong because memes are amazing.
Yes.
Prequel memes are just amazing.
Prequel memes are great. Or memes are great, not memes. Memes sees the memes of a production.
Okay, that's a good one.
I think, like, the sequel trilogy is just painfully mediocre.
Yeah.
Except for the middle one, which is bad.
Except for the middle one, which is bad and good, but also just bad.
It's like, it's just a mishmash of annoying bullshit that makes you upset.
There's good stuff in there. I don't think I would hate, what the hell are these movies called? I keep forgetting their subtitles.
I don't remember the subtitles.
I don't want to say episode 8.
I know. We've had that discussion too, where you just hate the numberings, and I totally get it. Because saying episode 1, you think, oh,
is that
not
the first one?
Is it the first one or the first one ever made? And it's like, fuck you. But I don't know the names.
Not Revenge of the Sith. That's the bad good prequel.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, and then the Rise of Skywalker. I get the two mixed up.
Isn't the first one like
Force Awakens?
Force Awakens. Okay, I forgot.
They're all painfully generic.
Like, to a ridiculous extent. The first and the last one especially. The middle one is generic, but it's generic in a way that, like, just sucks. At least, like, the first and last have, like, something that you can enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Or something that you can go, oh, I get what you're trying to go for. And the middle one does too, it just does it worse. Because, like, if you know why Rian Johnson did everything he did, but you're still upset.
I think there's lots of clever stuff in that movie. It's just there's also some really, really dumb stuff that just ruins everything.
Like the entire casino planet.
I would be fine with the casino planet existing in the Star Wars universe. Just like the kind of thing where if it showed up in the prequels, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, it's fine. But what they did with it and how that whole arc of that story didn't matter. It's like, why did you even make me go through that?
It feels like you're just making this long for the purpose of making it long. Do you think one of the problems is that Rian Johnson was like more of a TV director and he was just writing too long of a story to be made into a movie?
I genuinely think, I think that they offered it to Rian Johnson first. They offered the whole trilogy. They were like, wait a minute, he's some dude who no one knows. He's not going to sell any names. So they brought J.J. Abrams in.
See, I was convinced that they picked J.J. Abrams right off the bat just because of the stupid Red Letter Media review where Plinkett casually says that J.J. Abrams should have directed the Star Wars movie.
I mean, maybe. I think that was a really dumb take.
Because, like, J.J. Abrams, he is not a great director,
No.
but he is definitely a competent one. Like, if there's anything I'm going to say about, like, you know, the Star Trek movies, is that they were exciting. They were entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
I think Into Darkness was terrible, but...
The way I think about it is Rian Johnson's a good director, but he's, like, niche. And J.J. Abrams is a fine director, but he's mainstream. And as a result, Rian Johnson's able to experiment and go different places and do different things.
And it just doesn't work in a mainstream property like Star Wars?
No, I think it could work if he did the whole trilogy by himself.
Maybe. I think, yeah, that probably would have been better.
But instead they have J.J. Abrams, who's like a very generic director. He's very much I'm going to make things happen so that the audience is happy.
Yeah.
As opposed to his own creative decisions. And I think that was the problem. I equally think that if they had Rian Johnson do the first or the last one, that would have been a better scenario.
Yeah.
Because then he has to set things up. He doesn't have to, like, do what he did and set nothing up at all.
Well, it seems very, like, painfully obvious to me when we're looking at The Force Awakens that J.J. Abrams went out of his way to set up tons and tons of possible plot threads without having any
thought
as to where they were going, just knowing that someone else is going to be able to take them and come up with their own stuff for him. Because he doesn't actually care about finishing stuff, which is why he's finished almost no series at all, Star Wars being a notable exception that they've had him come on to do that last movie. We all know how much of a clusterfuck that was, so...
Everything about the last movie made me hate the second movie more. Everything about it. Every instance where I was like, this would be really cool if they had established this last movie. Fuck you, Rian Johnson. That was me in the movie theater. Every time.
We're just talking about Star Wars now. We're supposed to be talking about Fallen Order.
I know. Well,
we're waffling.
What is the point of the podcast?
Is there anything else we want to talk about with Fallen Order? Because my view on it, as someone who has not played it and has no intention of playing it, is that I'm fine that it exists, and I'm fine that most people are happy for it, and I'm glad that it's going to get a sequel.
Yeah.
Even if I don't think it's amazing, it's just anything competent in Star Wars video games is just very welcome.
I would say I recommend getting and playing the game on a discount just to play with the gameplay.
Yeah, because the gameplay's satisfying.
The gameplay is enjoyable enough. I'm going to say confidently now, as opposed to before, that the story's garbage and I hate it. Even though I didn't pay attention to the first half, I no longer feel I need to. I'm upset by it. But if you want like a fine game, a perfectly reasonable Dark Souls-esque game in the Star Wars universe, fine. It's good. It also looks great, which I forgot to mention last time we attempted this.
Yeah, it's a very good looking game.
It's so pretty. I mean, like, it's all very, like, samey, and we know about everything happening, and everything looks the same, but it's still pretty. And the Stormtroopers especially look cool.
I'm always going to appreciate LucasArts' like how they just gave all the different game developers like permission to use all of like those sound effects and music files and stuff like that, so that no matter what, every Star Wars video game is always going to feel like Star Wars just because of that.
Yes.
You know?
And it's great. It would suck so much if they didn't have the ability to do that. Yeah, I guess that's about all I had to say about Star Wars, The Fallen Order. Order now from EA.
Alright, so I don't know if you knew about this, but they just announced the newest character for Smash Brothers.
Yes, the game I remember. Arms. I remember the looking. I can see it. You can see the thing.
And I kind of want to talk about both ARMS and Smash Brothers, because both of them have been on my mind a lot lately. But
I'm happy to do that.
I guess I'll start with Smash Brothers because that's the one I've actually been playing in response to this.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you remember a little while ago when people were over and they wanted to play Smash and they wanted to do like a more casual thing with like items and stuff, I just flat out said no.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that
Okay.
because casual Smash Brothers, in my opinion, is just bad. And it didn't used to be bad, but it is something that's gotten worse and worse over the series. And I'm not even sure why Smash Brothers has remained as popular as it is, given the state of like what it is for normal players who aren't taking the game seriously and playing it competitively.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. Like the big problem with it, and this is something especially bad in Smash Ultimate, is that half the time nobody even knows what's going on, where their character's at, what's happening. It's just chaos. It's just absolute chaos. And the problem are the ridiculous stages with all the ridiculous hazards, the ridiculous items, just causing like all kinds of problems, stupid ass Pokemon showing up and blasting the screen with giant fireballs, and then random dragons and characters from other games and attacking everyone and stuff like that. It's bad. Maybe some people like it, but like I can't imagine liking it for more than a couple of minutes before the novelty of just like random destruction wears off, and it's like, okay, well there's no game here. I want to compare it almost to Mario Kart, and that Mario Kart is a very, very casual racing game and has remained like consistently popular forever because of how just well balanced it is for just to be fun for normal people, you know? So I was trying to... The one saving grace of Smash Brothers is that it does let you customize everything a ton. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to come up with a custom rule set specifically to make casual play more fun. And that's what I've been working on for a couple of days. It's basically just trying out each item, trying out every single stage, making sure that like this combination of factors will lead to a satisfying game most of the time. You know? Basically so that anyone who doesn't want to fucking play one-on-one against me, hardcore mode, being miserable because I'm beating them because I play so much more Smash Brothers than anybody else I know, can still have fun.
Okay. Can you delve into some of the items that you have, like, okayed?
Well, a lot of the items that are okayed are the ones that were in the first Smash Brothers, Smash 64. So a lot of those bashing weapons like the beam sword, the home run bat, the star rod.
The hammer?
No.
Okay.
The hammer's terrible.
Okay.
Anything that changes the music is a write-out.
Okay.
It's always a sin in Smash Brothers. You've got such an amazing soundtrack, some of the stages have such great music, and now we're just playing the stupid Donkey Kong. That's so annoying. I hate it.
I love that. I love that you decided that rule.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, like, an explicit thing, like I was thinking of, because I think it's the only one that, like, literally plays its own jingle when you pick it up, but... I got rid of the giant explosions. Like, I kept the Bob-omb, because Bob-omb's a fun item. You throw it, it explodes, it does a ton of damage, it sends them flying.
Yeah.
Compared to the Smart Bomb, which they had in Brawl, which has that really big slow-motion explosion that people get trapped in, or the X-Bomb that they had in 4, which is, like, the same thing. It's, like, really slow, it's really visually noisy, it doesn't even, like, send people flying as far back as the Bob-omb anyway, so it's not actually a bigger explosion. It's just something that takes up visual space on the screen and makes it confusing as to what's going on. Pokeballs, obviously, are right out.
Yes.
No Pokeballs.
No Pokeballs.
It's really annoying to me because they differentiated between regular Pokeballs and Master Balls in the newer Smash Brothers, where the Master Balls will always have legendary Pokemon, which are the big offenders, the ones that have the giant screen exploding effects.
Yeah.
But those still appear in regular Pokeballs.
Wow.
So you can't just throw a Pokeball and have, like, you know, a regular Pokemon that isn't obnoxious pop out. It's going to always have, like, that 10 to 20% chance of something that's just going to ruin the match.
It's like the one that, like, literally gets in front of the screen. It's like,
yeah.
fuck you.
I have been playing with assist trophies on.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
because I like the idea more than Pokemon. I like the idea of like all these different characters from different games that weren't good enough to become playable characters,
Yeah.
but still make cameo appearances. I want them to be there, you know?
Yeah, you want Shovel Knight.
For the most part, most of them are fine. Every once in a while, a Nintendog pops out and literally blocks the screen.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been that bad. I also noticed when I'm playing, because I've been playing lots and lots of these casual matches, that when you have Pokeballs and Assist Trophies turned on, they just appear more often than any other item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Like, every other item like will appear like randomly, but at the same, like if it's 50-50 Assist Trophies and the other regular items, you know? And I think it's because they're just treating every single random Assist Trophy as a different thing.
Mm.
But it's still, like, kind of obnoxious if that's a problem.
So my take has always been I don't like items, period,
Yeah.
because I don't, even like casually, I just don't like it when I'm unfairly beaten.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just me, it's a problem I have, because it's just like, it's a game, you should just have fun, but I can't have fun if I'm playing and you just like use the thing that shoots a giant wind tunnel and just blocks me off, and I'm like, I can't get back up, there's like nothing I can do. It's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
I can't have fun here.
Well, that's why I was comparing it to Mario Kart, you know? Because, like, Mario Kart's annoying, but it's not the worst thing ever. Where it's like, I'm gonna just never play... Because I had the option to play Mario Kart without items. Did you know that?
No, why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would you do that? That's the game.
So, I don't play Mario Kart nearly as often as any other game series. The only one I ever liked, I knew, like I would go consistently to play, was the Mario Kart DS.
Yeah.
That was the best one in my opinion.
That was my high school, right there in one game.
I played Mario Kart 8, I think, on the Wii U with my friend Aiden, who you know.
Yeah.
I think like I played like 3 or 4 games, and I hated it because even if I wasn't in the lead, which I rarely ever was, I was like 5th. I was getting hit by
You're
items
just getting shit on.
every second, and it wasn't even by them. They were both at the top. They didn't know about me. They didn't care.
Well, the funny thing is that the way the items are balanced, because it differs from Mario Kart to Mario Kart. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that Mario Kart Wii is, like, just total chaos all the time, compared to, like, Mario Kart DS, I think is the one that they said, was, like, a lot more skill-based, where if you, like, get out in front, then you can maintain the lead through, like, good driving and just, you know, clever item use, like, defensive item use, you know? Mario Kart 8 is kind of frustrating, because it's back to that, in that if you are the person in front, you can maintain that without having to worry about bullshit. They even have an item to block blue shells that you can strategically hold on to, and stuff like that. And it works very well. But at the same time, if you're in second place, or a little bit behind there, that's where you're, like, right in the middle of the chaos, where all the characters are throwing items, and you're just always in the crossfire. And you need to somehow get ahead of the chaos in order for it to actually feel like you have control over it. Otherwise, it's just random bullshit.
Yeah, that's definitely how I felt. It's like, I think that might be what turned me off a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, it was so annoying. It was, like, 3 games in a row where I was, like, literally, like, there were sections where there were, like, a full minute where I couldn't move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want this. This isn't fun for me.
There are some items in Mario Kart that I just really wish weren't there. Like, I don't mind the blue shell. Everyone complains about the blue shell, but I think the blue shell is a very strategically designed item. It's like, oh, this is a catch-up mechanic. This is something that exists in order to make it more fun for everyone who's playing.
Yes, absolutely.
On the other hand, the lightning bolt is bullshit.
That's the stupidest thing that I can think of.
And, like, maybe the lightning bolt is smarter design than I'd like to give it credit for, because it affects everyone ahead of the person who uses it. It affects them more based on how much farther ahead, so the person in first gets shrunk the longest compared to the person who was just ahead of, like, the 7th place, let's just say if the 8th place person was using it. But at the same time, it fucking shuts off the music. Like, why would they design an item to do that? It's like, hey, you're just enjoying the great song in this, like, especially in Mario Kart 8, where it's got, like, the fully orchestrated, like, jazz soundtrack and everything. It just sounds beautiful. It's like, no, let's turn it into this stupid-ass little toy jingle for 20 seconds where everyone's shrunk down.
This isn't
and
what I thought you were
the game just
going to
stops
say.
being fun. It's why I hate the item the most. Like, I think if they got rid of that one thing, I'd be more fine with it. The other thing is just that it just makes the game unfun for like a whole 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
And it's
like
unfun for
upsetting.
everybody.
It's unfun for every single person who's in front of the person who did it. And most of the time, in my experience, it's always the eighth guy who gets it.
Yeah. It's not satisfying for a person who uses it, because they barely get to, like, see it. It's not like the same as if they use that bullet bill thing, and they careen forward and smash into everyone in front of them. That's satisfying, you know?
I like the ink item.
You do like it?
I do.
I liked it in the DS because
That's the version that I'm used to.
well, they still have it, but they don't have the ability to just look at a second screen. They don't have the ability to wipe it off, and they don't have the ability to just look at your map to see where you're going. So instead, it's just, oh, I literally can't see for a whole 5 seconds.
Like, I liked it because it was always random, and sometimes it just wouldn't affect you that bad.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that I could go through and then be like, oh, I'm fine, I can still see. But I'm also used to the DS version, where if there was a point where I'm having an issue, I can just look up.
I liked how in the DS version especially, if you use it against computers, obviously their ability to see doesn't matter because that's not how they drive. So they would compensate by having them drive and like swerve irregularly.
Yeah.
And it would mess them up way worse than it would mess up any like human player.
Yeah, because they have to pretend like something just threw in their car and they go, oh.
Whereas like a human player can just easily compensate, and it's just a satisfying thing to do when you're playing with other people, because nothing's worse than losing to a computer when you're playing against actual humans.
I always enjoyed the balloon battle the most.
Yeah.
The DS version. That was so fun. We used to play that in elementary school.
The Switch version of Mario Kart brought back the balloon battles. Did you know that?
I heard that happened. But
they're okay.
I'm unconvinced that I'll care about the rest of the game enough to bother.
Fair enough. You realize it's like the best-selling game on the Switch by far.
Yes, it's
and
every
still
time.
Has been.
Every single time I go onto the Switch to look at see if there's any games I want to buy, it's the one that's at the top.
They do like the NPAs like every month, where it's like the top-selling games, like.
Yeah.
And like at the top of that list, like somewhere in that top 10, there's always going to be like a FIFA game, an NBA 2K game, Mario Kart 8, and Grand Theft Auto. Breath of the Wild has not been on that list for a long time.
It was last time I was there.
Maybe. I think there might have been a resurgence.
It might be just every time I look.
But, like, Grand Theft Auto is the one that's, like, almost always, like, 1 or 2, which blows my mind, because it's literally making all of its money off of microtransactions.
I don't get that either, because why would you play the Switch version of Grand Theft Auto?
It's not on the Switch. I'm talking about all video game sales, period.
Oh, I'm talking about the Switch.
Grand Theft Auto's not on the Switch.
This explains a lot. I was very confused. I didn't think it was, but then you were like, Grand Theft Auto. I was like, yeah, it would make sense. They want more money. And then
Sorry, I meant, like, all video games, period. That's why Breath of the Wild isn't on that list.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, compared to, like, all the video games on all the consoles every single month, even, like, now, years after it released, still isn't selling that well.
No.
But at the same time, Mario Kart 8 fucking is.
I wonder why.
Because it's fun. It's a fun game. And because as a casual game, it works really well. There's people I know, there's people who don't play any video games at all, but will play Mario Kart. Like, dudes, girlfriends, like, kids, older people, they'll play Mario Kart. It's an attractive game for almost everybody.
Is the Switch version Mario Kart 8? I thought that was the Wii U version.
They re-released it on the Switch.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That seems a really weird thing to do. Why didn't they just remake
Mario Kart 8 was really good, and it was wasted on the crappy Wii U.
Okay. I would just think they would redo it. Or make a new one. I would think they would go Mario Kart 9.
I hope they do soon. Personally, what I want is Mario Kart Switch, like, big exclamation mark after that, and bring back the double dash mechanic. I don't know. That's, like, the only thing that they have not kept from a previous game.
I liked Double Dash because I didn't need to be good at driving to be good at the Double Dash.
Yeah.
I could just be a backseat gamer, and it literally was great.
See, I love that too. Like, my brother often would not find playing the game as fun because he's just not as good as, like, other people playing. But, like, being in the back seat, throwing items, that's somehow really satisfying, even for people who aren't, like,
good at
hardcore
driving.
Playing, you know?
Yeah. For me, that was how it is. And I've only ever played it once. I didn't have it growing up.
I just realized we're talking more about Mario Kart than Smash Brothers, which we're waffling again. Pretty bad.
I feel like you're going to be... I'm always interested in the conversation. You're going to be able to bring it up. Smash Brothers.
It feels like I'm always going to have to be the one to bring us back.
Yeah, which is weird. Smash Brothers. Tell me more about how you've decided to make a casual game mode for Smash Brothers.
Well, I do. Ultimately, I'm going to need to test this with other people. I played a little bit with my brother. Um, it's going to be 4-player exclusively, no one-on-ones. So when we were playing with computers. I want to do like a proper like 4-player fight. But beyond stage choices and item choices, I think that's all that really matters. As long as you're able to see where your character is at any given moment and actually keep playing and not feel like you're being trapped by 1,000 different like particle effects
That's
that are
why I
flying
hate
across
that
the
map.
screen. Which map?
It's the Kirby one. Everyone knows the map I'm thinking of. The one that's all colorful and has like the mine shafts.
Oh yeah, that one's banned.
I hate everything about that map.
So,
I can't stand it.
I figured as long as players are choosing their own maps, it's fine. But if we do a random selection, I shut off all scrolling stages because they're all bad. I shut off the Great Escape or whatever it's called, the one you were just talking about.
Yes.
It's terrible. It's a terrible, terrible map. I shut off that horrible Donkey Kong 75 meters one because it's miserable.
Yes. Yes.
I also shut off just some that I have a personal bias against, like Electroplankton or whatever it's called. It's just that really, really ugly, boring stage that looks like bright green pastel flowers.
Oh, is it the Animal Crossing one?
It's not Animal Crossing. It's for this weird DS like game demo thing. I don't know why they decided it was worthy enough to get a stage. They made some really bad choices when they were making stages in the past, especially during the Brawl Smash 4 era. But that one shut off. And then there's a bunch that I wound up like having shut off, and then I wound up turning back on because I was surprised by how not horribly annoying they were. Like Mega Man stage, Wily's Castle. It would be an awesome stage if it weren't for one factor. Like, the hazards that appear are great. They've got, like, randomized moving platforms of different styles that are all references to, like, different challenges in Mega Man. But there's also the Yellow Devil, which is that big goo monster that appears.
I don't like the Yellow Devil.
I don't like it either. I think everyone who plays on that match hates the Yellow Devil. That said, I wound up switching it back on because I didn't feel like it was ruining the games completely, especially when the rest of the items were toned down so that it was the only big ridiculous thing that was happening, you know?
Are you playing with people online, or are you playing...
I'm playing boss,
Okay.
mostly. That's the thing.
So we still have to actually test this.
Exactly.
Fair enough. We might be able to do it today, actually.
Yeah, well, we got people over.
Jesse.
Yeah. Does he like Smash?
He will play. I think he owns it. I don't know.
Everyone likes Smash.
No one hates Smash.
No one hates it. Anyway, yeah, that's I think that's all I really wanted to say about Smash. Just wanted to throw this idea by you and say, hey, do you want to play Smash later and see if these rules work?
I'm interested. I like the idea. I'm hoping that I don't hate it, but I might hate it for personal reasons. It won't be your fault.
Well, I'll modify stuff, you know.
I just feel like it's gonna be. I feel like at some point I'm gonna be playing and I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is great, and then something's gonna happen. I'm like, man, I really wish that item wasn't in here.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be me against items, not me against the items you chose, you know? But I'm more than willing to play.
When I first played Smash 64, and I would play that all the time, we actually... Because you have to unlock the item customization option in that game. Like, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff and unlock a ton of other things before you're allowed to actually customize the items, which is kind of a weird choice in hindsight, but I'm glad that they had it even back then. And back then... Like, even when we were playing competitively, like, one-on-one, mostly me and my brother Nick, who would play all the time, we still kept most of the items on. The only ones we shut off were healing items, because we felt that they would swing the game too much. We shut off the hammer, because it was, you know, game-breaking. Shut off Pokeballs. But we kept on most of those, like, neat bashing items, shooting items, stuff like that. I never felt like it ruined those games. It wasn't until Melee where I started playing items off consistently, because Melee added so many more items and so many more of them were so ridiculous in comparison.
Of course.
It became so much harder to like choose which ones were worth having, which ones weren't. And this is like, it's the effort I wasn't willing to go through 3 generations of Smash, and now I'm trying to do it again for the first time since Smash 64. Pick out which items are actually worth having on.
Talk about Trials of Mana, Ben.
Trials of Mana. Okay, have I told you about Trials of Mana? You Gigger, not...
At some point, I assume.
So, Trials of Mana is... it's a video game. that is very important to me nostalgically.
Yes.
Do you know anything about the Mana series?
No, feel free to tell me everything.
Okay, so the Mana series, it's like the B series of Square's RPGs. You know, like everyone knows Final Fantasy, but the Mana series are like their lesser known, actually more interesting younger brothers. You know.
Okay.
The first Mana game, Seiken Densetsu 1, that's the Japanese name. I think it's like Legend of the Holy Sword. When it came out in America, they actually called it Final Fantasy Adventure because they didn't think they were going to be able to sell it without attaching the Final Fantasy name onto it. And then Secret of Mana is the second one. And that game was for the Super Nintendo, and everybody remembers that game fondly. I personally think it's not that good.
Okay.
But I've played the other games before that, so I have a more biased perception of it, I suppose. Then the third game, Seiken Densetsu 3, only recently came out into America for the first time because it was never released. And that's called Trials of Mana. That's the new name for it. But when I had first played it, it was a translated ROM, some like fan translation that they had done. And I just loved that game as a kid. Just adored the hell out of that game. It is like right up there with Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger and Super Mario World and Super Metroid and all my favorite like old Super Nintendo games. And when they announced, it was Nintendo's Direct at EA last year, they announced that they were going to do a collection of Mana, which was going to be the first 3 Mana games coming out in America for the first time, with Trials of Mana being translated for the first time.
I recall.
And then a remake of Trials of Mana, a 3D remake.
Yes.
Not as like a big of a deal as like the Final Fantasy VII remake, but a big deal for me anyway. So that's what I've been playing, is the Trials of Mana remake.
Okay. Did they do any huge changes that you hate?
That I hate? No.
Yes.
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay. Should I just start with the bads? Because there's bads.
I always think start with the bads and end with the goods, because it gives people a good impression at the end.
Alright, so obviously there's now an official translation for the game. The fan translation I had always thought was pretty good. The official translation, it's fine.
Okay.
It's about as good. There's some changes. I have questions.
Okay.
For instance, one of the characters in the game, her name is Charlotte. It used to be Carly under the old translation, so I'm going to inadvertently call her Carly, even though it's Charlotte for anyone who might plan on picking up this game. She's like a young, annoying character. That's like her thing. She's like a little girl. And in the fan translation, she would just talk in the third person. That's how you know that she's irritating, because she always says, Carly slipped and fell, or something stupid like that, you know?
Okay.
But in the new translation, Charlotte has Elmer Fudd speech, where she just has W's in front of everything.
Oh, no!
It's way, way worse. But it gets worse than that. Because the new game...
Is it voiced?
It is fully voice acted. And, oh my god. Like, okay, just the voice acting in general. The voice acting across the board is bad. But Charlotte is so unbelievably irritating. She makes the game unplayable.
Was that not the point?
I mean, she's still supposed to be likable. You can pick her as your main character if you want.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
I don't know why that got me so good. Elmer Fudd sound.
She has this awful... It's like wheelie, I would want you to help me.
Yeah, I understand.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And here's the funny thing. Even if you don't pick Carly as one of your team members, you still encounter her, like, really early in the game. You're going to have to suffer through Carly, like, right off the bat.
Just turn the voice off, dude.
I literally did that. They have the option to choose between English and Japanese audio, and I think for most people, they'd be happy to switch to the Japanese. I can't do that because it just goes against my anti-weeb sensibilities, I suppose. I know. It's not something I should judge. I just hate listening to Japanese. I don't want people, like, walking in and I hear the people talking Japanese.
We were at some point we're going to have to address the fact that I prefer dubs over subs, but that's not going to be today.
Oh. That's definitely in a non-coming episode. Um, in this case, I did resort to just turning the volume for voices all the way down, but that has other problems. See, because
other people are better.
no, the voice acting is bad across the board.
All right.
Like, it's just bad. It would have been a better game if they had not had voice acting, period, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, the original game would have been fine without voice acting, but again, I'm old school gamer. I don't give a shit.
What are the other problems?
Okay, so the way the cutscenes are done, like the way like dialogue segments are done, I think there are certain sound effects that for some reason are in the voice volumes because they just won't have audio and it'll come off really weird.
Oh, okay.
But even a bigger problem is, since you're not listening to the voice acting and just wading through it, you're actively reading and pressing the A button to continue to the next prompt. And they, like, the way they do the cutscenes is that they put the animations and, like, the things happening at the end of the dialogue prompts. So when you press the A button, you're skipping past it. So you're supposed to wait through the whole thing.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So or at least I hope, because otherwise these cutscenes are just so horribly badly directed that characters are just teleporting all over the place, and I have no idea what's happening, and, like, stuff like that, and that's just awful.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm making this game sound pretty bad.
That's why you do the good parts at the end.
I guess. Well, let's talk about some of the good parts, because, like I said, I really do love Trials of Mana, and I have been having a lot of fun playing this remake, believe it or not.
I believe you.
So, I should probably tell you, one of the big gimmicks of the original game is that, you start off with an option. You choose between 6 different characters. You choose 3 of them. One is your main character, one is like a secondary, and then a third one to show up a little bit later. All of them you get pretty early on, and the main character chooses the direction of most of the story. The secondary and third character don't matter as much, though some characters will interact with each other differently.
Similar to Octopath Traveler?
Yes and no. The big problem with Octopath Traveler that everybody kind of hated about it was that the characters don't appear in other people's cutscenes. They don't ever talk to each other. They don't interact. This is not like that.
They do
This
interact.
is really good.
Yes.
This is what I expected Octopath Traveler to be before I wound up being very disappointed by it. For instance, this playthrough, I am playing as Durin, the swordsman, and his story is about this wizard comes to the castle that he lives in at the dead of night and kills a bunch of guards and basically just shows up Durin as being the most powerful swordsman. He just wipes the floor with him, and he wants to level up and get stronger to beat him. But if I had chosen Kevin, who is a wolfman from the Beast Kingdom, his big thing is that he's got a pet dog that is his best friend. His name is Carl.
Okay.
And for some reason, Carl goes like crazy and attacks him, and he's forced to like fight him off, and he accidentally kills Carl, and he feels horribly guilty. So he's trying to find a way to revive Carl.
Okay.
And either way, like these introductions, they all kind of like lead to the same place where they go to the holy city of Wendell, their version of the Vatican or something like that. It's one of those places that appears in like all the games in the series. And then it stretches off into like a big main story about the mana stones and evil monsters that were sealed inside them, and mana's disappearing, and they got to go to all the stones and collect all the spirits and blah blah blah. Game story stuff. And then it kind of branches out at the end again, where depending on the character you chose, you'll have 3 different final bosses, basically.
Okay.
Because the real bad guy behind it all is going to be determined by the character you choose.
I was actually going to ask if this is the sort of game where you need to explain the story, and you explaining 2 segments of the story, I can see that it is not.
No, it's not. It's not a great story. It's a serviceable story. Like, old RPGs, like any story at all was like an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So this one is serviceable. Some people like really hate on it. I don't actually think it's worth hating. It's good enough.
It's hard to hate on video game stories.
On the other hand, the characters themselves, with the exception of Carly, are all very likable.
Oh, okay.
Though I haven't used Kevin in this translation, and Kevin is another person I've heard was kind of annoying because he speaks in like broken English because he's like this feral wolfman.
I don't know. That might be good. That might be fine.
That's the thing. I would hate to be annoyed by Kevin because in the original game, Kevin was like one of my favorite characters ever. He's just such a nice, cool dude.
Who accidentally kills his dog, yes.
Well, that's the thing. There was like an evil wizard. It was all a conspiracy. His father is actually the king of the Beast Kingdom, and he wanted Kevin to reveal his true strength. So, because Kevin is like a pacifist,
Okay.
so that's why he had like an evil wizard like possess Carl or something like that. That's pretty dumb.
This is
I
not
know.
a story you need to explain.
It's a story.
It sounds exactly like how I would expect it to sound.
I love it because it's nostalgic.
You ever think about how weird it is that you like JRPGs but you don't like anime?
I like Phoenix Wright.
Everyone loves Phoenix Wright.
Well, if that ever gives you an idea of like the contradiction of my hatred of anime and my love of, I don't know. There's something about the writing of anime and the writing of Phoenix Wright.
We could easily just have that conversation because I mostly ask for the benefit of others, but realistically, there are lots of differences.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need to go into them right now.
I definitely don't like JRPGs for the stories. And I don't like new JRPGs at all. I haven't liked a JRPG that's come out since the Super Nintendo.
I don't know what it is. Well, a lot of it I can definitely say is there's definitely a buttload of them that have been made by like 3 people on RPG Maker 2000.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about those. I'm talking more like the newer Final Fantasies. I don't care for. I don't care for.
Well, what do you like in a JRPG?
I don't know.
Is it the combat?
No, I mean it's menu-based combat most
Yeah.
of the time because I'm playing these old ones and that's what they had. And honestly, it annoys me in new JRPGs when they have like these ridiculous combat systems where I'm like, this is all super super complicated and super annoying and tedious to do, and it isn't
Like,
any more engaging than selecting attack from a menu.
Oh, what was the one?
Xenoblade
series?
Chronicles 2 is the one that I think of.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. That one has all that crap.
Like, they're still tutorializing, like, the combat, like 80
3
hours into the game.
Yeah. And then there's, like, the android girl who's totally different than everyone else.
Well, okay, so in Xenoblade 2, they've got, like, Pokemon things called blades, and that girl is one of those. And every single one has, like, a main blade, but you also get, like, random blades. I don't know why I know about this game. No, I do know why, because I kept on considering, maybe I'll get it, and see if I enjoy this modern JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, wait, no, I'm not going to beat this. It's like 300 hours long.
So, I was thinking maybe what you like is characters?
Maybe. Here's the thing. Have you ever heard of Bravely Default?
Yes.
So, I got Bravely Default because it was supposed to be in the style of an old JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, I was enjoying that. Ignore that if you heard that, listeners. That was my text alert. It's very much like an old Final Fantasy. You got 4 characters, you have a class-changing system, they get different abilities from classes that they can use with their other classes to make cool, like, combo abilities and stuff. And it's got a very simple story where they have to do, like, save the 4 crystals of light or something. It's literally like Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, and 4, just ripped off in a new form, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was really enjoying this game for a while, but there is a point where I just stopped. And it was because this super, super long, obnoxious cutscene that just went on for way, way, way too long. And I thought about it, I'm like, the reason why I hate this is because this is badly written, and they never shut up. And this wasn't a problem in old JRPGs, because these were always translated by some, like, random guy.
Yeah.
Ted Woosley was his name. He's, like, famous for translating a bunch of the old RPGs. And they were working under, like, text limitations, because Japanese text you can fit a lot more than English text, so they had to make everything a lot shorter, and they had to change a lot of the ideas and descriptions and just turn their jokes into his jokes, which are mostly Star Wars references.
Okay.
I should point out. And, like, that's the thing. It's, like, the reason why I like older JRPGs, and I can't like new JRPGs, is just because they're better translated. I don't like well-translated JRPGs because I don't like Japanese writing, I guess.
That right there would be a hot take.
That is a hot take, yeah.
That was not what I was expecting you to say. But I'm interested.
We're waffling really bad here.
I don't actually think we are.
This is something that deserves its own conversation, I feel. I don't know if I really want to do that.
Full on, like, difference between, like, just JRPG talks?
Yeah, basically.
It's mostly gonna be you talking, because I hate our JRPGs.
Like, all of them?
I liked the one that you recommended, Live Alive.
Live Alive. Okay, Live Alive, listeners, because I know you've never heard of that one.
Most people will not have, yes.
It is another childhood nostalgic favorite. And just like Seiken Densetsu 3 / Trials of Mana never came out in America, except this one had a terrible fan translation. And I've only ever played the terrible fan translation. You played the newer, better translation that came out years later.
Did I?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because you played it recently and not back in 2004.
I just played it, whatever I found. I mean, you're probably right. I just don't know. But
I mean, was the text like halfway off of the dialogue bubbles most of the time?
No.
Then yeah, you probably played the good translation.
I don't know. I liked that. I didn't hate that at all. I thought that was fine.
Have you played Chrono Trigger?
No. But here's the thing. My problem with JRPGs is my own problem. I am very impatient.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was going to talk about a lot in our later discussion about The Last Jedi, which we'll not get to now. I won't let you.
Last Jedi? Don't you mean Fallen Order?
Yes, I meant Fallen Order, my bad.
Okay.
I'm so fucking impatient. When I'm playing a game, most of the time, unless the story really grabs me, like Undertale did, I don't want to read or watch. I just want to get back to the game.
I loved Undertale.
We're not doing that either. That's gonna be That's gonna be 3 hours.
Undertale is also a short game.
It is. And the conversation is gonna be longer than the game. But I like when a good story catches me. I'm great. But if it doesn't catch me, like a lot of games don't, because a lot of games are not that well written. I just want to get back to the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with JRPGs is the gameplay is just as tedious as the writing, at least for me.
Well, in that case, I should point out, because I never actually did talk about the gameplay for Trials of Mana.
Yes.
Because it's not a menu-based combat system. It is, in fact, an action game.
Right.
It's a little bit more systemized than, like, say, Legend of Zelda was.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in the original game, you would have kind of like a cooldown period in between attacks. It would just show a little animation of him like kind of tired and then him lifting the sword or whatever your character appropriate thing. Usually like half a second, something really short, but something to keep you from just spamming the button, you know? And as you attack, it builds up like a meter, and after the meter's full, you can press the other button to do like a special kind of thing that'll do more damage, or maybe if you get like stronger and stronger, you'll have like ones that'll hit the entire screen, or will do a special status effect or something like that. It's not super deep, but I felt that it was definitely engaging enough. And the new game, the remake, has a revamped combat system where it is like a basic sword brawler kind of thing. You've got light attack, heavy attack. You can do a dash attack. You can do basic combos. You know, light, heavy kind of thing in order to do like a wide attack.
To, like Castle Crashers? That's what I'm imagining in my head.
Maybe. It's been a while since I played Castle Crashers. It's not more advanced than Castle Crashers. I'll give it that. Like, it's not like... I should clarify.
I just mean, is it like a side-facing, like, screen brawler?
No. It's not side-facing screen brawler. It is a behind the shoulder 3D game.
Okay. That's better than what I was thinking.
Yeah. So besides the combat, they also added in like kind of like basic platforming and exploration and stuff, because this is now a 3D game. They decided to add a jump button, which was never in the original one. Actually, a weird detail about the original game, if you're used to like old RPGs, usually there's like chests with treasures and stuff. There isn't any of that in that game.
Okay.
And then we added it into the remake, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It makes me wonder why it was never in the original game.
Probably limitations, honestly.
They also added a little bit more depth to the character building. In the original one, you just leveled up the characters and they just automatically got their stats. Or you'd choose which stats to level up, but I don't feel like it ever really mattered. You gave strength to the guy who was hitting with a sword. You gave intelligence to the lady who was blasting with magic. And the big choices in character building was just what class upgrades you're going to choose. They always had like a light and a dark path. So if you're playing as a swordsman, you could become a knight or a gladiator.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a secondary choice later on. So the knight can become a paladin or a liege, I think they call it. It's some meaningless thing, but it just means not as light as a paladin is.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, the gladiator can become... I'm trying to remember what the new translations are. I think it's a Fratele or something like that. It's like a weird magic swordmaster thing.
Like an Ifrit?
No, Ifrit's like a genie.
Well, I was thinking magic.
Adelfrey or something.
Okay.
I'm pronouncing it. It used to just be called a swordmaster in the fan translation. and then the other one's just called a duelist.
Okay.
And that's the dark one as a duelist.
Yes.
Some of these names
are very dark.
Are way better than others. Like Kevin, who's a monk, he can become a god hand or a death hand.
That's pretty good.
It's really good. I'm pretty sure they retranslated those and those aren't in the game anymore, and that really upsets me.
That is upsetting.
But
Well,
Kevin's still a badass. And
I can
love
say
him.
that with that, I might check out Trials of Mana, but I might not be that into the story.
This is, I mean, the story's fine.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I have to get into it, and we're not getting into that yet.
The thing I always loved about the Mana series, and funnily enough, not even Trials of Mana specifically, but it's not the stories, it's the world. The way the game is, it's very, very, like, high fantasy, fairy tale, all over the place kind of thing. Like, if you got the time to Google Legend of Mana art, specifically. Alright, sorry about the interruption. Trials of Mana, was I talking about the gameplay or the story?
The story. You're talking about what you like about the Trials.
The world,
series.
the art,
yes, the art,
just the way everything is. Legend of Mana is the 4th game in the series. That's for the PlayStation, and that's another episode. I'm going to talk about Legend of Mana so much.
Can't wait.
But just to give you an idea of like the crazy world, there's like no human characters in that entire game besides your own main character, you know? Like you go into a town and like the shopkeeper is run by like a beetle guy and the bar is run by like a ladybug lady, and there's like there's a monkey dressed up in like a vest, and he's like an organ grinder monkey kind of thing with his own like organ grinder who is a living creature organ grinder thing. And there's a pelican who delivers mail, and you get the idea. It's like gonzo, wacky, like silly fairy tale kid shit.
I don't know why I was so anticipating you saying beetle first. I knew you were going to say beetle. I don't know why.
Maybe I've given this spiel before to you and you just kind of forgot. Or
I just like beetles. Beetles are cool.
My favorite character, like running character in the Mana series, his name is Niccolo, and he is I don't know what he is. He looks like a rabbit. Well, he looks like a cat with rabbit ears. Okay, he's got like a cat-like face.
Jackrabbit.
And he wears a poncho and a sombrero either on his head or sometimes he like hangs it on his back. Weird. He wears like this big poncho, big sombrero. He's got a big long curly tail kind of peeking out from underneath his poncho. And his thing is that he's like this shyster salesman. And he just, like, the first quest you can do in Legend of Mana is he wants you to help him like beat off these bandits who are blocking the road, and then he rewards you by just giving you a bunch of garbage.
Oh, great!
Like just straight up garbage.
Does it
like
say garbage in the thing?
And then he'll appear in like quests, or you'll hear about him from like random NPCs throughout the game of like this rabbit guy who swindled them. Like he's literally the kind of guy who would sell ice to Eskimos, kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I just love him. He's a reoccurring character in the Mana games, and his most disappointing occurrence is in Trials of Mana, where he is not a rabbit thing, he's just a cat person.
Okay.
And his name is Nikita instead of Nicolo. Actually, it might be Nicolo, or Nicolo, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, it's Italian. It might be Nicolo in the new translation, but it was Nikita in the fans translation. And he's just like a friend of one of the characters. He's like part of a desert thief gang. And he appears a couple of times. He makes cat noises when he's talking because it's got to be annoying.
Okay.
And he's not special like he is in Legend of Mana. And that makes me sad because I feel like if you're going to remake the game, you can take the opportunity to like change the things to make them better. And when you had a better depiction of something in a later game, you should take that.
Yes.
Trials of Mana, like, I described all, like, the crazy gonzo fantasy. It's not, like, over the top like that. It's a lot more grounded. But there's the skeleton of that, like, insanity that would come later.
Okay.
Like, the spirits, the elemental spirits, are in this game. They've got their own, like, recurring character / species kind of thing of each of the elements, like Salamander, the one for fire, or Undine, the one for water.
Okay.
And depending on the game, you can look up artwork and be really, really impressed by how cool it is, or be like really disappointed by how not good the art is in those older games.
Would you recommend the remake of Trials of Mana and the three game thing?
So,
or do you want to give it a 1 out of 10 or whatever?
This is a 7 out of 10 game.
Okay.
It is like, when people imagine a 7 out of 10,
I was going to say
this is what it is.
You think, when you say 7 out of 10, you mean actually 7 out of 10, not...
No. I'm talking about people's perceptions.
Oh, okay.
7 out of 10. Like, it is good, it is not worth most people's time unless they're into that kind of thing.
Okay.
If you like it, you will like it and enjoy it. A lot of people can admit that this is not a great game and just love the hell out of it. That is how I am. I am enjoying the hell out of this game, even though it's got very obvious weaknesses.
Okay.
It's Swimming in Sevens is a expression of a podcaster I like, or a podcaster game reviewer.
Feel free to name drop if you wanna.
Michael Huber from Easy Allies.
All right.
And it's such an appropriate thing, because sometimes there's just those 7 out of 10 games that are just like personal to you and you just really personally enjoy.
Okay, well, you gave it a 7 out of 10 based off of people's perception. Would you be willing to give it an actual 1 out of 10, or do you think that 7 out of 10 is also accurate to how you feel?
I mean, when it comes to like review scores, if we go back to that conversation, I think the perception is all that matters.
That's fair enough.
Because people are like, well, it can't be a 10 out of 10 game if it's not literally perfect. I'm like, yeah, but who cares?
Yeah, that's
when people say 10 out of 10, they just mean, yeah, this is a really good game. Almost everybody's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's no such thing as a 10 out of 10 game if that's the way you think, but that's not accurate.
Yeah, if the highest you're ever going to give something is a 9 out of 10, then 9 out of 10 is just a new level of perfection. So
I suppose that's the other problem is the other thing I don't like about number scores is that they're so impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
And reviews are so personal. They're so against what you're trying to do.
Yeah, well, this is a podcast. I had to listen to everything I said before I gave them that number.
Exactly. I'm not saying like us. We're fine. We're great. We can't be at fault. It's us.
Oh man.
I'm saying actual reviewers.
People don't know how many shitty opinions we have yet.
They haven't gotten that point. We're gonna have to keep going.
We've hinted at them.
Do you? Oh, we actually did because of the earlier. I have been playing. I played through the game Gato Roboto.
Okay. I am kind of familiar with it. I've seen, like, the trailers. I have never played it myself.
It's pretty good, I guess. I wasn't sure about it because I've never been that into Metroid as much as I have been the genre.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I liked, Bloodstain as far as the Castlevania thing. I liked that more than Metroid. So it was like, I just don't know if I'd be into it. I played through it. It's very short. It took me 4 hours, and that's with me, like going back to make sure I looked for everything.
Yeah, that's like old indie game short.
Yeah. It cost me like $3, so it's like perfectly reasonable for the price.
I'd say more than reasonable. $3?
Yeah. Well, $3 on sale, but even still.
I paid $15 for Braid. I never regretted that much, but Braid is not a long game, you know?
I paid $15 for Hollow Knight, and that was a $30 game.
Okay, Hollow Knight is like a $120 game. How freaking big that game is.
We're getting off topic already, and I don't like it.
Alright, so Gato Roboto.
It's about, you're a cat, and your owner...
The Gato.
You're the Gato. Your owner falls into a space station, or just crashes the ship into the space station. He's trapped, and you have to save him. And the whole game is like you going through the effort of doing that, but turning the computer on. It's very, it's just, the story's there. The point is to get you to get into the suit.
The Roboto.
The Roboto. The thing I didn't like about it, the thing that bothered me, and I need you to tell me if this is just a general thing that is in Metroid,
okay,
is every time I'd get to a boss, I'd be stuck in the boss.
It was difficult?
No, I literally had to fight the boss to progress. There was no way of leaving.
I wouldn't say that's a thing for old Metroid. I think it's a thing for old games, period.
I hated it because every time for me, I would just be exploring like a Metroidvania, because that's what I'm playing. And I'd be going through, and I would be looking for interesting things, or the health upgrades, or the suit upgrades.
It's definitely typical of every Metroid game.
Yes.
I'm just saying it's typical of a huge number of games being locked into boss arenas.
But then I would stumble upon an area, and it'd be a save point. I'd save, and then I'd go into the area, and that's the boss. And I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave the area because the thing that I needed to leave was behind the boss. So I'm just now stuck. Every time I die, I spawn right outside it. I have to go back in and fight in order to...
Oh.
Yes.
Well, maybe... Okay.
So
Let me see if I understand now. So they would trap you... They wouldn't let you explore the greater...
Without being the boss,
map.
Yes.
They would trap you into singular areas where you'd have to beat a boss first.
Yes.
Okay, that's not unique to most things.
I didn't like it at all. I thought it was really dumb. Because for me, it was always I stumbled upon it. And it's why?
There are some similar things to that. Like in Super Metroid, pretty early on in the game, there's a part where you like go down this big shaft and you can't get back up until you get the ice beam, and then you can freeze the enemies and use them as platforms to get all the way back up to the top. But this is also a huge chunk of the map you're trapped in. Like,
Yeah, it's a large area.
Almost a fifth of the entire world map period is this area that you have access to in this point. Also, you can get out because you can wall jump as a secret ability. It's tricky because you have to dodge the moving enemies, but it's possible to get out. I personally don't mind, because in that had a very good purpose in that it was kind of teaching you how to be, what's the good word for it? Like independent almost, like knowing, like being able to trust yourself being trapped in like a unique area. Because normally you could just head back to your ship and heal, and you could use that as a central point to make expeditions out, almost, you could say.
Of course.
But this is like, you can't get back to your ship. You are in this thing. There's nothing you can do except press forward. And I like the psychological effect that has on players.
I would enjoy that.
I don't know if Gato Roboto used it that way.
No. So the way it would work is you'd be exploring, and then you'd fall, like, for example, you'd fall down a hole.
Yeah.
And the hole would have, on the edges of it, it'd be inclines out. So there's no way for you to get up and wall jump up. There's no reaching. The only thing you needed to do was you need to go in and beat the boss and get the, I think it was the double jump at that point, or it was unlocking the lava so that there's no lava in the area.
And you would prefer to like get everything you can in every dead end before you fight the boss.
Yes, I like 100%ing the area first, because I want it. Because the boss for me is like, it's like the end of this place.
Yeah.
That's how I'd feel it. It's like, I'm going to go through the whole area and then I'll beat the end of it. But for this, it's like, you accidentally stumble upon the end, go through it.
I want to point out how much I appreciate fog walls in Dark Souls for just very clearly designating.
Yes, 100%.
Or in Metroid, they always have those big eye aliens that cover up the door. Like, you always have to kill it, and you know that there's always a boss behind one of those things.
Yeah. I would appreciate that way more as a game, but like, it's a very small complaint.
Yeah.
The only other thing I didn't like was the ending, which I'll spoil just because it doesn't matter.
I'm surprised. I thought it was just about a cat saving its master.
Yeah, you'd think. But there is a weird twist, almost. It's very, very confusing, and I didn't get it. I might have to play it again to try and understand. But at the end, the whole time of the game, you're fighting a mouse. And the mouse is a guy. He's like a person who was a scientist on this space station, and he was experimenting with animal stuff, like how to use animals, and his whole purpose was to extend the life of his dog, who was dying.
Okay.
Yes.
Was he turned into a mouse?
He turned himself into a mouse to survive.
And that's the twist.
No. That's actually, like, you kind of get that very quickly into the game, as soon as you find him.
Okay.
But then, you keep fighting him, because at the end of the game, he says he fought you all this time to test your abilities, which is, like, weird. But he captures the human, and then he switches bodies with the human.
Oh.
And you have to fight the human.
That's upsetting.
It's upsetting and very weird, but the cat doesn't give a fuck.
Oh.
That's the bizarre part. The cat doesn't care. And then at the end, right at the very end, the dog that you're trying to save this whole time just pops out of his containment and saves you and defends you. And then you leave with the dog.
What about the human?
I think he's in the mouse, and I think that he shows up at the end on the ship.
Maybe he's in the dog.
I don't know. That's the problem. Because at the very end, you leave with the dog, and the mouse also shows up, and he, like, winks, and that's the end of it. And it's like, I don't know what that means. Is the scientist in the mouse? Is my guy in the mouse? Who's the dog? What's going on?
This is bizarrely confusing for such a simple setup.
I know!
Is there dialogue?
There is a little. There's like every time you do something, sometimes the human will talk to you, and it'll be like, "Kitty, you have to do this. You have to destroy the flux capacitors in order to stop the heat going on." And the cat will be like, "Meow," and he's like, "All right," and he stops talking.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
great.
that You're just a cat on a mission to save its master. That's such a weird premise. You never see that kind of thing.
It's great. But it was such a bizarre ending, and I just don't understand. I don't know who's what happened.
You gotta, like, look up the TV tropes, your mileage may vary page, see if everyone's got their own, like, theories as to what happened. This is actually a setup for an elaborate sequel.
It should be simple, right? It shouldn't be that complicated.
Yeah, it sounds like the kind of thing where I'd be 100% fine if the ending of the game was he saves his human and they both leave.
But instead it's like, makes this whole thing about the monsters with the evil guy switches bodies. It's like, okay.
I blame Axiom Verge.
I have not played Axiom Verge.
Well, spoiler alert, it has one of those mindfuck time travel based extra dimensional kind of endings.
You are your own grandpa.
Almost. Like, very close to that. And you're like, wait, were the good guys actually bad all this time? Was the bad guy actually good? What's going on?
Yes.
And I still don't understand it, and I don't think I need to. The game was fine without any of the story, and the story, what's there, even if I didn't understand it, it was intriguing and good.
Is Axiom Verge a Metroidvania?
Oh, 100%. It is literally, like, the graphical style is made to replicate the original Metroid.
Okay. I always thought that graphical style looked very specific and weird.
Yeah, well, so does the original Metroid.
Okay.
Like,
I will have to play.
You ever see, like, the bubble walls and, like, Norfair and stuff like that?
No.
There's lots of, like, specific references in Axiom Verge to Metroid and parts of Super Metroid.
I will have to play it because I like Metroid games.
Yeah. I liked Axiom Verge a lot. I didn't think it was perfect, but it was definitely up there on my list of favorite indie Metroidvania games. The problem is that indie Metroidvania games are so common right now, I don't even want to bother with most of them.
Most of them are great.
Yeah.
I tried one that was, I can't even remember the name of it. It was about this dude it was all about guns. And, like, the idea was that you ran around and you were a mercenary on an alien planet, and you were roaming around at it. Like, you just had, like, machine guns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the name of it. I don't care to know the name of it. It wasn't good or enjoyable. It wasn't like the rest.
It's weird to me that at one point in time, I was looking at, a couple of different games, Metroid and Castlevania, and knowing that term, Metroidvania, and thinking, man, this might be my favorite genre. I wish there were other games like this.
And now there are.
And now there's so many I don't want to bother.
I think my biggest worry is that, like, I'll play one and then I'll realize most of the way through that it's not really a Metroidvania. That it's like, it says it's a Metroidvania and it kind of plays like a Metroidvania, but, like, it'll have elements that I wouldn't associate with the genre. And I can't give any examples because I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know there's a game that did this I felt the way. Maybe it was Dead Cells, which was a roguelike version.
Yeah, Dead Cells is a pretty good example because that's not, like, if I wanted to get my Metroidvania mix and someone recommended me Dead Cells, I'm like, you don't understand what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for.
It's like, it's just not, Dead Cells isn't bad.
No, it's awesome. It's an awesome game.
Yeah, it's just that you don't explore, really. At least you're not.
You don't explore in the
supposed
same
to.
way that you do in a Metroid game. Because there's different types of exploration.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I know...
You explore like you do in a roguelike, like Binding of Isaac, almost.
That one's also time-based, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you get there faster, there's more things. You do everything fast. It's like...
I had no idea. That really bugs me.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it. Because if you go to places and it'll be like a door that is closed, and you're like, why is this closed? And I Googled it, and it's because I didn't get there within the first 10 minutes.
So, yeah, Binding of Isaac, that's a game that I can appreciate for being as amazing as it is. I don't like playing it. It is not a game for me. This goes against what I enjoy.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
I enjoy...
I think it's amazing.
Sometimes I enjoy playing it, but...
I'll watch other people play it. I don't want to play it myself. I don't find that fun.
I find it really fun when I unintentionally break it. Which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing.
That is the point of the game.
Yes. And occasionally, the one that happened to me was I was playing and I got the giant laser thing.
Yeah.
And I also got the thing that lets you control your tears. So it just turns into a laser ring.
That's cool.
That you just move with the cursor and it kills everything. Like, literally, you just put it on a boss and you won.
Yeah, well, just the fact that can happen, that's really fun.
Yeah, it's really dope. But, like, everything else, I don't like how much of it is dependent on randomness.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I know there are people like Northern Lion who just are so good at it that they can do like 120 plus playthroughs without dying,
Yeah.
which is insane to me.
Yeah, they'll never get such bad RNG that they can't get themselves out of it, you know? That's impressive.
Yeah, it's insane to me that like, I couldn't even imagine doing that on any game that I play consistently.
Well, not one that random. I could play Metroid 1,000 times and beat it every time.
Without dying.
Metroid Fusion, yes.
Fair enough.
But I have played that game like 1,000 times.
I think for me, it's just I couldn't imagine putting so much time into one game like that.
The only game I think I put that much time into, like that insane amount of time, is Smash Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm trying to think. It might be Fallout. I think Fallout.
That's a lot of Fallout.
Fallout New Vegas might be the one that's closest.
That's
to
a
me.
lot for a game that is single player.
Yes, but I really like it. I really like Fallout New Vegas, and I would like to play Fallout 3 again.
All right, so wrangling this back from our waffling, Gato
Yes.
Roboto, is there any final thoughts you have on it?
Buy and play it.
Good game?
It's literally like the amount of money it costs for what you're getting is completely worth it.
Honestly, the fact that it's only 4 hours long is one of the most attractive things.
I think it's
There's so many games that I just don't finish anymore because I don't have the time.
I think it's $7 without sales. But
Yeah,
even
that's
still.
that's great.
Like-
I'd pay $7 for a great 4 hours.
Yeah, and I think you'd enjoy it despite the boss lock. But even then, I think you'd enjoy it.
If I know about it ahead of time, it definitely won't annoy me as much.
Yes, absolutely. But I didn't, and I wanted to explore.
All right, so what I was talking about before with Smash Brothers and the new ARMS character, I also wanted to talk a little bit about ARMS because it is a game that fascinates me, and that I really, really, really want to like it,
Okay.
and I can't. And
Explain, please.
at the end of the day, it's just not that great, and that's very disappointing. So, okay, you've said you've never played ARMS. How much do you even know about it? And I can try to fill in the blanks.
I know that it's in my head it's Wii boxing but far away.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a fighting game, and it's another unique take on fighting games from Nintendo, where at Smash Brothers it's all about like that King of the Hill, knock each other off the platform. This breaks conventions by being a behind the shoulder, almost like shooter kind of thing, and that you're aiming at the other person, and that's the main focus. And let me just talk about all the good stuff about this game, because there's lots of good stuff.
Please do.
The characters, I love them. None of them have to have like complicated stories or interesting dialogue or anything like that in order for me to like them. They are just so innately likable from their character designs.
I like that a lot. I appreciate that more every time I play games.
There's certain companies that are really good at nailing this. Nintendo pretty consistently. Blizzard every once in a while makes really, really great characters that you can just look at and just like just by how they look, you know?
I'd say TF2 with Valve.
Yes, definitely. And this is definitely that. Like, oh, this guy, he's a giant mummy. Mm-hmm. His story is that he's looking for his family, so he's entering in the big world fighting tournament in order to gain publicity so they might find him. You know?
That's awesome.
Actually, the one problem is that a ton of these fighters aren't really interested in the big fighting tournament. They're always trying to, like, do it for another reason. Like, Min, the character that's in Smash Brothers, she owns a ramen shop, so she's just trying to, like, advertise for her ramen noodles.
That's funny as hell.
There's, like, a skater guy. What's his name? He's a snake-themed one.
Okay.
He's, like, this cool, like, punk rock, like, snake-armed skateboarder. And he just wants to, like, gain publicity for his skate park, you know, that kind of thing. There's a ninja who's also, like, a college student. Like, he's going to ninja college. And this fighting tournament is, like, his thesis or whatever, so he can graduate.
That's fucking great.
Yeah. Like I said, the characters are wonderful. And another thing, so in ARMS, they all have the stretchy arms. That's, like, the whole point. And all of them have, like, a different material that their stretch arms are made out of. So, like, Spring Man is simple. They're springs. And then there's the girl who's Ribbon Girl. Hers are ribbons. And the snake one has snakes, and the mummy has, like, mummy wraps.
Is Mimi's ramen noodles?
Yes, hers is ramen noodles.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, Min's is ramen noodles. And, Twintel, she's the one that was very popular on the internet because she's got the big booty.
Yeah.
Her thing is that she's, like, a movie star. and her arms, she doesn't have the arms ability. It's not her arms that are stretching out. She has them attached to her like. Her hair.
The drills.
So her arms are literally her weaves. It's so cool. She's like I said, I love these characters so much. And then the stages. Every single character has like their own stage. That's like themed after them. They're all pretty simple, you know. Like this one's more of like a boxing ring, but this one's more of like a music hall because she's like a musician, and this one's like kind of an outside Hollywood street with all these cars and stuff.
All right.
And I really like when fighting games have stages for each of those characters. It's not something that's like essential, but that's a personal thing I really, really enjoy. Especially because that lets you have a place where they always hear particular characters' theme songs. And man, the fucking music in this game, holy shit, it's so good.
Would you listen to it outside the game?
I have. I do it all the time, actually.
That's
Every
nice.
single song on this track is an absolute fucking banger. Every song slaps. They're so good. Some are like way better than others, but even like the worst ones are still like great. Hell, the menu music is fucking good. Okay? I'll have to play you some samples later so you can like you know what I'm talking about, but like the music in this game is so good, and it's just this high energy, great characters, creative, interesting stages.
I'm so sorry.
Somewhat. So he dropped something next to the microphone. Ignore that, listeners. Everything about this just makes me want to love it. The problem is that, like, as a fighting game, it's just not deep. You just punch each other.
It's just moving the arms.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of like twist them in order to aim a little bit better, and you can jump and dodge, and every single character has kind of like a unique little effect, but it's not like something that really makes anyone feel super different from anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that you can swap out your arms so that they do different kinds of attacks. So some of them are pretty simple, like you'll just punch them, but other ones will have like a boomerang that does a big wide arc, so it's really easy to hit. Or like homing missiles or some weird shit like that.
It's sounding like your problem is that you don't like how casual it is.
That's the thing, yeah. It's super casual, but the game isn't being sold as a super casual experience is kind of the problem.
Is it?
No. Well, compare this to, like, say, most of the Mortal Kombat games.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 11. Even if you do not care about playing this game competitively, it still has this giant story mode, you know?
Yeah.
It still has, like, tons of, like, content and things to unlock and ways to have fun, even if you're just playing the game by yourself. Even if you never go online and take it seriously, even if you only ever play with a couple of friends who none of them take Mortal Kombat very seriously, that's still a worthwhile, like, investment.
Sure.
If you like the aesthetic of Mortal Kombat, like the big fighting tournament and all the blood and gore and stuff like that, there's a cool story there, at the very least, you know? Whereas this, it's got some pretty basic, one-player campaign things. It's just, you just fight 10 guys and then it's over. That's it, every time. It's slightly different for each person in that it has a different cutscene at the beginning and end. You know?
Okay.
And outside of that, it's just the competitive multiplayer. That's it. It's just versus, you know? And it's like taking a game like Wii Boxing, because that's a very good example, or just Wii Sports in general, and they're like, okay, let's treat this like a competitive game. And it's like, well, the game's fun, obviously. I could probably play it for a few hours with some friends, taking turns and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep playing this for years on end. I'm not going to take the time to get good at this like I am Smash Bros., Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, you know?
I don't know if I completely agree. I think I see your point, that there's like there's not enough to the game to really say it's necessarily casual.
I'm going to point out that the marketing for this game has focused itself on a competitive thing. Like, the very first way they introduced it at E3 was with a tournament.
Alright.
You know? And that's the thing,
Fair
they
point.
treat this game more competitive than Smash Brothers, which they never wanted to be a competitive game.
That is really weird. I don't know.
Or comparing it to Splatoon. Splatoon's another great example. This
Oh,
game,
yeah.
like, Splatoon can be very competitive. It's actually really fun to play competitively. On the other hand, you could just not. It's pretty fun not to play competitively as well. You can still do, like, the versus matches and not really be good at shooting and stuff like that. You can just paint the stages in pretty colors, or you can play their awesome Horde mode, Salmon Rush. But this game, it's like, it doesn't have much if I'm playing casually. It's just there's the characters. They are unlocked from the start. I can play each one's campaign
Okay.
thing, and it's the same for each one, basically. So I have not finished. I never bothered. Or I could try to take this seriously, and I could, like, play it hardcore, like, versus mode, and I can get better at it, but I'm never going to learn anything more about the game because it's just not deep.
Yes.
And that's frustrating. I want there to be an ARMS 2. I want there to be an ARMS 2 that is just way better than ARMS 1. In one direction or the other, you know?
I guess, I don't know. You make maybe I'm just wrong. It feels a lot like if the gameplay is just not deep enough to be competitive, then maybe that wasn't their goal.
It definitely was the thing.
Yeah, that's the problem. There doesn't seem it's possible that there was any other situation, anything else going on. They had to have wanted to do it this way. And I don't really get why they would do that.
It's because they came up with an idea that they thought was interesting, the whole stretchy noodle arms thing.
Sure.
Boxing fights. And they're like, well, let's, like, make a game out of this, and because it's boxing, we'll make it into a fighting game. But they didn't, like, stop and say, you know, this isn't deep enough for it to be anything more than a mini-game in another game.
I guess the problem is it sounds a lot like... it sounds almost too much like Wii Boxing.
Yeah.
And Wii Boxing is fine, but it's not it's literally just boxing.
Yeah.
But with less to it, because you're not actually getting hurt. There's less, like... The competitiveness of boxing comes from the actual physical difference between the two people playing it, of course. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than in the game. That doesn't translate.
There's, one of the things is, like, with those characters, they have things that differentiate them from one another, but they don't feel significantly different even still, because the base gameplay is so simple that there's no way to make it feel special. So if you're playing two characters in Street Fighter, for instance, they can completely feel like different games.
Of course,
almost.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, better fighting games than Street Fighter. I'm sure fighting game fans might believe. That are even more so. But it's like, okay, well, the mummy guy, who's probably my favorite character, his big thing is that he's big. When he shields, he heals slowly.
Okay.
So you probably want to, like, focus a lot on shielding, as opposed to, like, the ninja character who will, like, auto dodge when he's blocking. So he'll, like, teleport off to the left and right. So it can be really, really hard to, like, hit.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like I'm overselling the differences when I describe it like that, because it sounds like they would be very different to fight and, like, play as. But they don't feel that way. It still feels like primarily my big focus is punch. Or it's more complicated in Wii Sports in that there's kind of a triangle system where if you punch, it'll always block a grab. If you grab, you can grab through a block. If you're blocking, obviously a punch won't go through.
Okay.
But then you're just doing a very predictable, like, paper, scissors, rock kind of thing, where the solution is always just wait to see what the other person is going to do and then immediately react as quick as possible.
Of course. Oh, crap, what was I going to say? I had a thought, and now I've lost it.
Maybe if I enjoyed projectile characters in fighting games more.
Oh, I was going to ask if there were, like, vast differences in the sound.
Sound?
Like, okay, so that's what makes, like, differences... That's one of the things that makes characters different in, like, non-fighting games. It's how they sound. Like, Overwatch, for example. How Genji... the sound that Genji makes when he throws his shurikens is so distinct that when you hear it, you know there's a Genji.
Yeah.
I would think that in this game, they would do something along the lines similar. Like, every time the snake guy punches, you hear a hiss. And that alone differentiates them enough.
I am pretty sure they use the same sound effect for each punch, each grab, no matter who.
That is a failing of them as in-game design.
There is... One of the bigger problems is that the way the arms themselves work. You equip different types of arms that have different types of attacks, I was saying before. And all of them are unlockable for every character, so none of them make the characters feel unique. So, like, even though Master Mummy will start with the big, giant honking arms, which go through, like, everything else, but are, like, super slow,
yeah,
anyone can equip those, and it will work exactly the same for any character.
See, that's just silly.
It is, but I don't know exactly what they were going for here, and the thing is that you can't just ignore that. Everyone has, like, 3 different default arms, so you could play with just those. But then that would basically ruin certain characters that are kind of useless with their starting arms. Like, there's a weird, wacky DNA character. He's like a big pile of goop.
Okay.
He's hilarious, and I love him. And his starting arms are appropriately weird. Like, he's got this one that just bounces on the ground, and if you charge it up, it has like a blinding effect where it does the ink thing from Mario Kart, like covers the screen.
Okay.
But it's not good.
No.
It's not, I mean, it's fine. It can be used strategically, but his three choices of arms don't have a lot of synergy with one another, and they're not as powerful as, like, the girl who just, like, electric stuns you, you know?
Yeah.
And since anyone can use that electric stun attack, then everyone probably just should.
See, I think that is the problem, though. You're not wrong that if they had made them, if they had made each person have to use only their specific arms, that would make it so some of them are not going to be as good as others. But, like, just to compare it back to Overwatch, that's part of what makes it good.
Yeah.
That's part of the interest, is, like, even, like, some people are just so good at characters that shouldn't be. They can be at the top level with, like, the worst character. And, like, it's also, you know, balancing is a thing. They
yeah,
can just
and there's matchups and stuff like that. If I were to redesign arms, first of all, I'd probably get rid of the whole third arm choice, and I would just make everyone have two different arms, because they literally have two different arms. What's
Makes
the
more
point?
sense, yeah.
Because there's a lot of characters that, like, by default, like, will equip the same arm, and it's like, well, there's no point in just equipping the same thing. They have two different effects. You might as well have the high damage one and the high range one. There's no reason to have just the high damage ones, because you already are doing that with one arm. But that's a tangent. I would probably just change it so everyone has unique arms, and I'd probably balance around that. But even still, the gameplay just isn't deep enough for it to matter. At least then the characters would feel different, but fight to fight would still feel too samey.
I really think if they changed it so that each character has individual sounds, I think it would change a lot more than you might think.
Maybe.
I've been coming to appreciate this more and more as I've been playing games recently that I'd never thought about it before, because I mostly played single-player games when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But sound design is so important.
I agree.
I think you like the music a lot.
Well, yeah.
And
I know what you mean by sound design.
Of course. But I pay barely any attention to music when I'm playing.
Like, when you're playing a shooter, there's a huge difference between something that has an appropriate, like, gun shooting noise compared to something that
pop
feels like flat. Like, a friend of mine was comparing Overwatch to, Paladins. Is that the one that everyone was making fun of for being an Overwatch ripoff, even though it's not really an Overwatch ripoff, but whatever?
It kind of is.
Well, the point is that, like, one feels more satisfying to play, and a lot of that is because of visual effects and sound design.
Yes. Paladins does not... I've played Paladins. I played it recently because we wanted to play some games on PC and Xbox.
And it's free.
And it's just so poorly made as far as, like, sound design. Just sound design alone.
It's got its fans. I'm not going to knock the game itself.
Yeah, I don't hate it, obviously. It's fine on its own. I just hate Hi-rez as a company, and I wish they would stop being a company.
Wow, okay. I don't have that strong opinions. I know that there was that one game that they made that was really popular and they abandoned.
Smite, or you mean...
no, before Smite. Smite was the first of their...
Yes, Smite was the one that was really popular, but the other one was Tribes.
Tribes is the one that everyone was pissed about because they just straight up abandoned it to make Smite. And then they kind of abandoned Smite to make Paladins. Except Smite's still going. It actually got a really stupid update recently.
Yes, I saw that? The Avatar update.
I got into a bizarre argument with someone on Reddit because they were like, well, it makes more sense that it would be in Smite than League of Legends. And I'm like, how? Why? Why would you think that? This is a game about, like, mythological figures fighting. Why would Avatar characters being in there make more sense to you?
I guess my issue is that it's Aang, Zuko, and Korra, and not, like, the Face Stealer and the Owl.
Yeah, those would be cool.
Like...
I mean, people were already mad they added Cthulhu into Smite, and I'm like, that's whatever. Cthulhu might not be an actual mythological god, but it fits all the tick boxes, you know?
I would argue he is, honestly.
Well, there was no actual religions worshipping Cthulhu.
Sure, but I don't think that's necessarily a requirement.
To some people it is.
I would say it isn't.
I agree with you, but that's not the point.
Yes.
The point is that, like,
yes,
it's there, I get it, but then at the same time it's like, okay, well, this is literally characters from the show Avatar. I'm pretty sure they're just skins, but even then, skins are stupid. Man.
They might be.
Why are we talking about Smite? Can we not talk about Smite?
We're talking about Smite because I want to fucking talk about how I hate Hi-rez and I hate everything they make. They made... I just hate them.
Maybe Tribes was an amazing game.
We have to get Jake on, because Jake loved Tribes.
Yeah?
He remember we talked about it. We talked about how much... I was talking about how much I fucking hate Hi-rez, and he was like, Tribes! I will never forgive them for that. I was like, alright, I didn't play it. I'll have to find out.
It's so sad to just see a company just do nothing but chase trends.
That's all they do. It's so fucking frustrating. Because you want to know the dirty secret? I used to love Smite.
Yeah?
That used to be one of my favorite games. I'm
No
not even
idea.
fucking joking. I used to play... That used to be my MOBA. That was the one that I got into.
Are we going to just talk about Smite now?
For a little bit.
Alright, so, listeners, we're changing topics now from ARMS to Smite. We're not going to go back to talk about ARMS. The ARMS discussion is over.
The discussion is over.
It's over. There's nothing more to be said. I like ARMS. Maybe buy ARMS. If it's on sale, 100% worth it. Look up the soundtrack. It slaps.
I like that as an endorsement. Smite. I played Smite all the time.
Yeah.
During high school, this dude I knew was like grade above me was like, you should play Smite, you might like it. And then I played it, and I played it so much that he was like, dude, you've passed my level.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, I really like it. I really liked a lot of things. It was a MOBA, which I never got into because I don't like isometric games for the most part.
Okay, it's kind of a weird...
I'm aware that it's a weird one. There are
Okay.
some that like do it, like Hades, for example, is good enough. I can play Hades, but I don't like MOBAs.
It's just weird to think that it being isometric is the game breaker, you know?
I agree. I don't get it either.
Do you like old tactical games like Final Fantasy Tactics or anything?
I kind of did like Final Fantasy Tactics, but I never played it that much.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed what I did play, though.
Okay.
But yeah, I hated that, and I got... This one came out. It was Smite. It was third person. There was, like, you have to aim, which I thought was fun, because you don't really do that in League of Legends and Dota.
Well, there's aiming in League of Legends. It's just isometric aiming.
Yes.
Dota's there's like one or two moves that have aiming abilities, but Dota's more tactical.
Yes. I'm not trying to knock Dota or League
I know.
of
I'm
Legends.
trying not to get into a Dota thing. It's
I'm
very
really
hard.
I'm not gonna let you. That'll be a different episode.
That'll be an episode of nothing but just me talking about Dota and why it is probably the best game that has ever been made, and
Stop.
I hate it.
Stop. We're stopping right now.
I'm never gonna play it again. Never.
Stop. I was playing Smite like forever, and then for me, what happened? I don't know what actually happened. I can't tell you what actually stopped everyone from playing it. I'm pretty sure it was Loki, because that's what I heard about at the time. But my internet stopped working. It just stopped being as good.
Loki made your internet stop working?
No. For me, it was the internet. For everyone else, I'm pretty sure Loki, the character,
Just ruined it?
His main ability is that he's a jungler,
Okay.
and he can from a certain distance just jump up behind someone and attack them
Okay.
for a substantial amount of damage. And I guess like that combined with a bunch of other things was really bad and really shitty.
Yeah, but that's something that can be fixed.
The problem
Oh,
is
wait,
that
yeah, they
didn't.
started making paladins.
They started making paladins, and then like the characters they made would be like every single time without fail would be broken, no matter what they did, every time. And I still have the pass for that one. I have all the characters, and I always will. But every single time they come out, something about them is broken. Every new one, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's certain characters where that shouldn't be the case. And there are certain situations where it's like, how is it possible that you can go through, like, even a minimal amount of, like, beta testing and this is still in the game?
They're, in defense of broken characters, especially in MOBAs, not necessarily in this case, because I don't know if Hi-rez has actually taken the time to fix it, but it's usually better to release a brand new character, overpowered, and then nerf them, because when you have an overpowered character, you get an entire gigantic, huge, group of players playing them all the time because they're overpowered.
Yeah.
And you get lots and lots of metrics and stuff to balance around. Because playtesting is like one thing. You can playtest as much as you want. It'll never be the same as having thousands and thousands of players.
Especially
playing your game.
competitively.
Exactly. Whereas, when it's an overpowered character that everyone keeps playing, you can balance around that. If it's an underpowered character and nobody plays them, well, it's really hard to fix, etc.
I see your point. Let me give you a different example.
Generally, you want it to be slightly overpowered, though, not like brokenly overpowered.
Medusa came out.
Mm-hmm.
Medusa's ability...
Medusa's also a character in Dota.
Yes. Medusa's ability in Smite is that she can she can stone you. She can turn you to stone for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And then she can use her other abilities to do like a shitload of damage to you and put almost any character at the same level as her down to like 1/4 of their health.
Sounds like they're just ripping off Dota.
And that was with no items.
Oh.
And that was the problem. That's the problem overall. Is that there's an item shop that has all these items.
You don't need that anymore.
No, having it makes it better.
Well, I mean, for Medusa.
Yeah, you don't need it, but if you have it, you're gonna fucking destroy.
See, Medusa in Dota is a incredibly powerful character that is incredibly item dependent.
Mm.
Like she is one of those characters that like you get max level, you get the best build, will win the game. You can't fight it anymore. You let it get to this point, you have failed. There's no stopping Medusa.
Okay.
But obviously, like Medusa without items is kind of useless. That seems very annoying. I don't think there's any character in Dota that's built the way you're describing.
I'm nearly certain that they fixed that one.
Yeah, probably. There's probably a lot of stuff that they fixed by now, but because you haven't played the game, you don't follow the news.
I haven't played in years, and I don't care enough about the game to bother.
Obviously, people still play it.
Yes, people still play it, people still love it. And if you like it and love it, fine. I'm fine with you. I don't even care about the game, really. For me, it's just I hate Hi-rez. I hate how they do their business. I hate how they made tribes, and then MOBAs are big, and then they made the MOBA, and then Paladins, because Overwatch was big, and then Battle Royales, so they made a Battle Royale.
Wait, what's their Battle Royale?
It was actually based off Paladins, it's called Realm Royale.
Uh-huh.
The entire idea is that their unique selling point when they started it was classes. They'd have different classes you could pick.
Okay.
And it was actually, I mean, it started, it was actually pretty good. I'm not even going to lie. It was pretty good when it started.
All of them seem to be pretty good when they start.
But
there's obviously some talented developers in there who don't really have any focus, and someone in charge of them is just this horrible, like, trend chaser.
I really feel like it's a lot of good developers, and then, like, their supervisors are all just, like, I feel like all their developers are good, but their supervisors have quotas. And their quotas are, you have to make, a certain amount of money this week off microtransactions. So make sure your developers pump out 1 billion fucking skins.
Yeah.
And it's like, But it started off as a class-based game. That's the important thing. And then some of the classes were kind of like a little overpowered, so they balanced them. I thought there was a point, when it was a really good game. There was a point where it was really good, really balanced, really solid. But then, they kept adding guns. And that made it broken again.
Yeah.
And certain abilities that certain characters had would make the gun even more broken. And as a result, nowadays, it's not class-based at all.
Oh.
Yes, they've removed their entire unique selling point. But to their credit, no one plays the fucking game, so no one cares.
Well, that's sad then. Any final thoughts about Smite or Hi-rez?
You can try and try them. They're all free. Try the games and then tell me that they're good. You'll be lying to me, but do it.
Especially try. They might be lying to themselves.
Try Paladins. I want someone who hasn't played Paladins. If you're into Paladins, fine.
I have several friends who love Paladins.
If you're into it, fine. If you aren't into it, I want you to play Paladins, especially if you've played Overwatch, and I want you to tell me which is better.
I have several friends who love Paladins and specifically say they prefer to Overwatch.
There are elements about Paladins I can see. There's a card system that differentiates power similar to the MOBAs.
I want to point out, I hated Paladins. I tried it for 20 minutes, tried a few different characters, couldn't stand it, just did not like it.
It's bad. There are elements that are good, though. There are characters that are kind of unique and interesting. There are some that are literally just straight rip-offs of Overwatch characters.
To be fair, Overwatch just straight up rip-offs Dota characters, but everything
TF2.
does. And TF2, obviously. I just meant Roadhog ripping off Pudge. Bugs the crap out of me every time.
Okay. I don't know how to read. They're totally
Pudge
different.
is the guy with the hook, damn it.
They're totally different methods of doing it.
They're big fat dudes who hook people in close to them to finish them off.
One of them's in first person, though.
Whatever, man.
It's a very large difference.
Whatever. I love Roadhog. It's very fun to play.
Okay.
Just gonna point that out.
But yeah.
Not a big Overwatch fan anymore, but whatever.
I would say
Overwatch is still fine.
If you've played Overwatch, I want you to play Paladins and tell me how you feel about it, because you will probably hate it.
Well, it's not even comparable to Overwatch. It's like playing a first-person MOBA. where Overwatch was like compared to MOBAs
It's
for
not.
no reason.
It's compared to MOBAs because the actual first-person MOBAs. What was the game 2K
Smite.
made? No, the other one. That's third person. Oh crap! Battle something. Battleborn.
Oh, the one Gearbox. Thing.
Battleborn.
Yeah.
Battleborn is an actual. It was actually supposed to be a first-person MOBA, and then Overwatch came at the same time.
I feel bad about Battleborn because it might have been good, but nobody would have ever cared.
Battleborn killed itself. Literally, there's a tweet that exists that the guy who runs Gearbox, it might have been
Randy Pitchford, you
It
mean?
might have been him. I think it was someone else though.
He's the guy who runs Gearbox.
Yeah, but he was like, they were like, "Are you worried? Are you going to delay the game because your game's coming out a month after Overwatch?" And they're like, "Nah, we think we can handle it." Why? Why would you think of that ever?
Well, what else would he say?
Yes, we're going to delay the game 2 months.
That would inspire even less confidence in players. That would definitely send people away.
I disagree entirely.
I don't know.
Because people were sent away on already. You know? They should have done 2 more months of development, added some more things, and made sure people understood this was not like Overwatch.
Maybe. I don't have very many good things to say about Gearbox games or
Now we're waffling.
not Gearbox games. Wait, isn't Gearbox games the people who made Path of Exile?
No, that's Obsidian, isn't it?
No, Path of Exile. That's the one that's kind of like a Diablo-style game.
I don't remember that game.
Oh, it's really cool.
I don't think Gearbox made that. I don't know.
Definitely Gearbox didn't. I think Gearbox is what I'm thinking of. Oh, is it Guilty Gear Games?
That might be it.
It's
That sounds
GGG.
right.
That's what it is.
It's definitely not Gearbox.
Any listeners, Path of Exile is excellent. We're not going to talk about it, but that's one you should look into if you're into like Diablo-style games and you don't like Diablo anymore.
I'm not. So I'm good.
So yeah, we don't need to talk about it now. Maybe in another episode.
Aww.
Anyway, so yeah, that wraps up what we were saying about Smite and Hi-rez. So,
Before you should probably explain what the quiz is about specifically.
that's what I was about to do.
Oh, great. My mistake.
Okay.
I apologize.
It is called Which Came First?
Okay. Oh.
Classic Video Games Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously that's the thing I'm super into. So I really like old video game trivia, and I thought a pretty simple thing would just be trying to guess which thing came before which other things. So if I said, which came first, PlayStation or PlayStation 2, you'd say?
PlayStation, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Some of these I feel like are pretty obvious, but I don't know how much you know about old games.
Okay.
I did try to do some tricky ones in there, so we'll see how this comes out. I should point out, I also randomized the order of these questions, and I randomized the order of which thing comes before, so I wouldn't give any hints.
Okay.
Hopefully that comes through, or it matters, because it spent a lot of time doing that. Alright, so for our first one, which came first, Resistance, Fall of Man, or Gears of War?
Resistance.
No, Gears of War came out November 2nd,
Really?
2006. It came out 10 days before Resistance, Fall of Man.
That's actually kind of surprising to me, because I know about Resistance. Resistance is the PS3 one.
Yeah, it was the rival of the Gears of War series.
That's shocking.
Well, I don't know, because I don't remember Resistance personally.
Exactly, that's why it's kind of shocking to me. I didn't remember it being a big thing. I played Resistance 3.
I think Gears was just better, and that's all there was to it.
I don't like Gears of War, but fair
I don't
enough.
like it either, but...
Of the two, probably.
Alright. So, okay. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 or Medal of Honor Warfighter?
Warfighter.
That is correct.
Yes.
Medal of Honor Warfighter came out in October 2012, while Black Ops 2 came out the following month. Now, I wanted to point out, while Warfighter is the most recent game in the Medal of Honor series, there have been 7 Call of Duty games since Black Ops 2.
That's weird. I remember I watched a Zero Punctuation
Oh, yeah?
of Warfighter. That's why I thought it came out earlier. I didn't know it came out that recently, though. That's kind of weird to me.
It's not recent. That's 2012. That's 8 years ago.
That's fairly recent when I think about the Medal of Honor series. I don't think about it that often.
Well, it's an old series. Fun fact, did you know that when Call of Duty was being developed, the codename was Medal of Honor Killer?
I did not.
Yeah, that was the point of the series. They just wanted to make something to compete with and be better than Medal of Honor.
That's kind of funny.
They succeeded.
I guess technically.
I mean, I'm not saying it's better than Medal of Honor. I don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
But Medal of Honor, they haven't made a new game in 8 years.
I was going to say, I haven't played Medal of Honor. I couldn't say.
Alright, so which character came first? Amy Rose or Knuckles the Echidna?
Wasn't Amy in the first one?
The first Sonic?
Yeah.
No, she was not.
Then I'm gonna have to say Knuckles.
You're wrong. Amy was first, though.
Oh, okay.
But, interestingly enough, Amy Rose first appeared in Sonic CD in 1993.
I own that game.
Knuckles came out, he was in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I think was the next year. You know the story behind Sonic CD?
No.
Sonic CD was the second sequel to the first Sonic game. There's a branching path of which is the proper sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog. One that was created by the director of Sonic the Hedgehog, and one that was made by the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh.
Both of them are considered the best two games in the entire Sonic series, which isn't saying that much.
That is weird.
But, yeah, apparently Sonic CD is just amazing, and Sonic 2 is also, like, insanely good.
I would like to clarify now that I do not like Sonic.
I am not Sonic's biggest fan either, but that can be a discussion for another day.
Agreed.
Okay, so another one. Another character. Who came first, Luigi or Donkey Kong Jr.?
Luigi.
No, that is not true.
Was Donkey Kong... I know they had the second Donkey Kong game. Was that before Super Mario Bros. 2?
Super Mario Bros. 2... Well, Luigi appeared before that.
Didn't he come in the first one that's like the level they use in Smash all the time?
The pipes?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's Mario Bros., the arcade game.
Right.
Donkey Kong Jr. was the sequel to Donkey Kong. It came out a year before Mario Brothers.
Oh,
but both of them originated from the arcade.
I knew about the games. I thought that Luigi came a little bit earlier.
Nope. Well, that's one of those ones where I wasn't sure, so I figured, yeah, that's good enough.
It's also kind of technicality, because
that's a whole year before the other.
Yeah, but was it really Diddy Kong up there?
Donkey Kong Jr.
Okay. That's Diddy Kong.
No, the name of the game was Donkey Kong Jr. Also, if we're gonna get into that kind of stuff, Donkey Kong Jr. is the Donkey Kong of the Donkey Kong Country games.
Fair enough.
Kind of. I don't really care about that kind
I'm
of
not
stuff.
going to go into the depth of Donkey Kong. I don't think it's worth it.
I love Donkey Kong. It's one of my favorite series of all time. I might like it more than Mario.
I can see that.
So anyway, alright, which of these games came first? Spyro, Year of the Dragon, or Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex?
Which one is The Wrath of Cortex?
Oh, that might give it away.
Okay. I think The Wrath of Cortex is the second one, and I believe Spyro, Year of the Dragon is the first one, so I'm saying Spyro.
It did come first, but you were wrong about Spyro. Year of the Dragon is the third Spyro game.
That came before the second.
Wrath of Cortex was the fourth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have the trilogy of Spyro, and I was trying to think. Those are the games I would know more because I loved the Spyro games growing up.
I believe it was just Spyro the Dragon, then Spyro Ripto's Rage, and then Spyro Year of the Dragon.
Right. That's correct. I remember Ripto's Rage. Ripto's Rage is the best one.
All right.
Good.
Shovel Knight or Shantae?
Shantae.
See, I didn't know if you knew that.
Shantae is old. I knew Shantae was old.
Shantae is super old. Came out in 2002 for the Game Boy Color. But I feel like both of them are like popular indie game characters now. Both of them are like in Smash Ultimate. Well, Shantae is a spirit in Smash Ultimate.
Isn't Shovel Knight also a spirit?
Shovel Knight's actually an assist trophy.
Oh, right.
But a lot of people don't know because there's lots of new Shantae games coming out.
This is slightly unfair because recently Zero Punctuation came out with a Shantae review.
I did not know that.
And he talked about how old it is. But I
forgot you were always watching Zero Punctuation.
It's my favorite reviewer.
Alright. Metroid or Kid Icarus?
Didn't Kid Icarus come first? Because of the balloon thing?
Because of the what thing?
The balloon game? Wasn't that technically Kid Icarus? Am I just wrong?
I have no idea what the balloon game is. Oh, are you talking about Balloon Fighter?
Yeah.
No, that has nothing to do with Kid Icarus.
Why do I associate that with Kid Icarus?
Because they both fly?
I don't know. That is the worst comparison I've ever made. It's Kid Icarus, though, right?
This is one of those trick questions. So Metroid was released in Japan in August 1986. Kid Icarus would follow later in December of that year.
Okay.
But in the U.S., Kid Icarus came first. Came out in July of 1987, and then Metroid came out the next month.
So then I would say that Metroid came first, then.
Yeah, that's why I have it as the answer.
Okay.
All right. These two peripherals. Who came first? Rob, the robotic operating buddy, or the NES Zapper?
The gun.
Yeah.
The gun.
The gun came a whole year before Rob did. But both of them were available on the release of the NES in the U.S.
Oh, What did the Rob do?
The Rob was used for 2 games. Like, literally just 2. One was Gyromite, and the other was Stack 'em Up. And basically, Rob worked like a zapper in that he would have, like, a light gun thing interaction with the TV, but you would plug him into the second player controller thing, and he would be controlled by commands you did on the screen. So, like, you'd press you'd press the button on the screen to make something happen, and that would flash a signal to him, and he would move one of the colored Stack 'em Up tops onto another one, basically. The reason why Rob exists is basically because they wanted to advertise the NES as a toy and not a game console, because that was when there was a big video game crash and nobody wanted to buy game consoles because they knew it was like poison.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, this is a toy. This is for kids. We want to put this in the toy section. See, look, it's got a toy gun, it's got a toy robot, it's a toy.
Okay.
And that is how Nintendo saved video games. Well, the console industry, anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, next one. Tetris for the NES or Tetris for the Game Boy?
That's probably a trick one, isn't it? I bet it's the Game Boy one.
It is the Game Boy one, but it's also another trick question. Because, while the official version of official NES Tetris came out after the Game Boy version, there was a unlicensed version of Tetris that was made by Atari under their Tengen brand, and they wound up losing a lawsuit and having the copies of that game pulled off the shelves.
All right.
Just in time for the next Tetris to come out.
I'm counting that as a win.
Alright, versus Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels?
I have no notion of either of those games. I'm going to go with The Lost Levels.
That is true, kind of. So I thought of this question because I thought it was cool, and then when I looked up the answer to make sure I was right, turns out I was kind of wrong, but for the wrong reasons, and I just wanted to keep the question.
Okay.
So if you don't know what those are, The Lost Levels is Super Mario Bros. 2. It's a Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2. Versus Super Mario Bros. Is the name of the arcade version of Super Mario Bros.
Is Super Mario Lost Levels the one they changed in America to make it easier?
No, they just made a completely different game.
Right.
And they called it Super Mario Bros. 2.
And that's the one that has like the theatrical thing going on.
No, that's Super Mario Bros. 3.
I don't know anything about this series, apparently.
It's a classic series. I love it so much. I could do it. That could be a segment. It's just me giving you goddamn history lessons on old-ass video games.
That'll be great, because then next week, the week after that, people will be like, so you remember any of those? And I'll be like, what?
Yeah, you're not going to remember any of it. That makes me sad. Anyway, so I will give you a little bit of a rundown. Versus Super Mario Brothers was an arcade port of the original Super Mario Brothers, and because arcade games have to be harder, so that people waste more money on them, they used a bunch of the original levels, they made new levels, and they changed stuff up, and basically they made it a lot harder. And they found these new levels to be really fun to make, really fun to play, and that's what inspired Super Mario Bros. 2. Super Mario Bros. 2 was the first Kaizo Mario game. It's just bullshit, unfairly hard. That said, even though Super Mario Bros. 2 came out after, or was inspired by Versus Super Mario Bros., I'm pretty sure the release came before. Because it was released June 3rd of, one second, I got the year here, 1986. Whereas Versus Super Mario Bros., the only thing I know about it is that it came out in June of that same year. I've heard June 8th, I've heard June 16th. Neither I could verify, but either way, it's probably after The Lost Levels came out. Which was disappointing for me to find out, because I just thought it was a cool bit of trivia. Alright, this one should probably be easy. Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy?
Oh, Final Fantasy, right?
No. Okay, maybe not that easy.
I immediately was like, oh, I know that one, but then I was like, wait, who made Dragon Quest? Because I couldn't remember. Was
Enix.
Enix, okay.
Before they became Square Enix. Enix has made Dragon Quest. Square made Final Fantasy.
Oh, okay, because I knew the story that Final Fantasy saved Square Enix.
They saved Square.
Okay. Are these two different companies?
Squaresoft and Enix merged to make one company.
Okay.
They used to be two separate companies. They used to be kind of rival companies.
Then I knew that Final Fantasy is what saved Square. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I immediately thought Dragon Quest would come first because I thought that they made it, and then the Square made it, and then it fucked up, and they had to make Final Fantasy.
Dragon Quest is like the most popular video game series in Japan.
Yes.
Like, period. And it has been that way since the first came out. It is the thing that like kicked off the RPG craze.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's never been popular in America for some reason. Final Fantasy has always been way more popular.
So, just to clarify, I lost that one. I thought it was Final Fantasy.
Also, to clarify, I have not been keeping score.
I will have when I edit this, don't worry.
Cool. Maybe if we keep on doing these games, we should just have some sort of, like, penalty or consequence of some sort. Like,
yeah.
maybe, like, they could choose the next topic or something like that.
We'll do that next week.
Alright. Doom or Wolfenstein 3D?
Wolfenstein.
Yeah. Just because all the original shooters were called Doom clones doesn't mean Doom was the first shooter.
Wolfenstein came before Doom, but they were made by id.
Both of them, yes. Alright, the Game Boy...
id Software, not ID.
What's that?
It's id, not ID.
Yeah, because it's like id, ego, super ego.
Yes, exactly.
Which is why their logo has like the brain cortex thing.
Yes.
Anyway, the Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy Micro?
Game Boy Micro, I'm now recalling that. I think the Game Boy Advance came before the Micro.
It did. I meant for this one to be kind of a tricky one. Because the Game Boy Micro was a updated version of the Game Boy Advance. Even though it didn't say Advance in the title.
This was tiny.
Yeah, it was super, super tiny. Didn't do very well. Nobody remembers it because it sucked. The Game Boy Advance original, awesome. The Game Boy Advance SP, awesome. Game Boy Micro, nobody cares.
I didn't hear about it when I was a kid.
The Game Boy Advance released in 2001. The Game Boy Micro came out in 2005. I have all like the years and dates written down. I keep on forgetting to mention them. Alright. The Sega Mega Drive or the Sega Master System?
I'm trying to imagine both in my head. I think the Master System came before the Mega Drive, because I think the Mega Drive was on the CD drive.
The Master System did come before the Mega Drive, though I was trying to be tricky again. So the Master System was the name of Sega's 8-bit console.
Mm-hmm.
It was released in 1985. The Mega Drive was Sega's 16-bit console, which was released in 1988, and in the US was known as the Sega Genesis.
Yes. Did that have a disc drive, or am I just imagining something else?
There was an add-on called the Sega CD, which is how you played Sonic CD.
Then I'm misremembering, because I have a Sega system.
You probably have like an updated version of the Sega Genesis that came with the CD and maybe even the 32X built in.
I think I have a Sega Saturn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sega Saturn was there like 60, or was it like a 32-bit system?
I think it's 32. I don't know.
Listeners, I have never played a Sega Saturn game.
It will be on the screen, I assume. I'm probably going to be editing this all night. Or tomorrow.
Alright. So, which character came first? Banjo or Kazooie?
Ooh. Did they not come at the same time? I'm going to have to say, I'm imagining Kazooie came first in some sort of weird thing, and then she flew into his bag at the end of the game.
No.
Okay.
Banjo did come first. I was hoping maybe you'd try to like remember the opening cutscene to see which character like appeared first in it, because I would totally do that kind of thing.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking at all, no.
But no, Banjo the Bear first appeared without his bird best friend in Diddy Kong Racing in 1997.
That's crazy, I didn't know that.
Kazooie would then debut in Banjo-Kazooie in 1998.
Wow.
Another fun fact, guess what other character first appeared in Diddy Kong Racing? Conquer the Squirrel.
Oh.
Yep, he was a lot nicer in that game.
I would hope. That's weird.
Alright, another one I hope is easy. Super Mario Sunshine or Luigi's Mansion?
Fuck, they came out on the same system.
Yep.
I know that. I know that Super Mario Sunshine came out in 2007. I think that came out first.
That's way too late. Sunshine did not come out in 2007.
Didn't it?
Nope.
When did it come out?
2002.
Oh, fuck, I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm old and you're older.
Don't remind me.
I won't, I promise. I thought it came out in 2007. That's when I remember playing it.
I legit thought this would be obvious because, okay, well, I was a kid when the GameCube came out.
Which came out first?
Luigi's Mansion.
Okay.
Luigi's Mansion was the launch title for the GameCube. And that was actually super controversial at the time because it was the very first time a Nintendo console did not launch with a Mario game to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we got Luigi's Mansion, which was that crap game where you couldn't even jump.
Yes.
Which obviously, like, Luigi's Mansion is awesome in retrospect.
Of course, when you think about all of the crazy shit they did.
There's controversy now. Back then, is all I'm saying.
I would like to clarify right now that when I was a kid, the system that was coming out that was really impressive was the PS2.
Yeah.
So
well, obviously.
For me, that was not something that would have like been easy.
But I'm a Nintendo fanboy, so that's the one I cared about. Also, the GameCube had Super Smash Bros. Melee, which was the only game I cared about in the entire world.
I believe you, and I say that's a fair point. But for me, Ratchet and Clank and Spyro were the games that were like they were my shit.
Yeah.
And Sly Cooper.
And Sly Cooper.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Mega Man X or Mega Man 7?
Mega Man 7.
No.
Okay.
So Mega Man X preceded Mega Man 7 by 2 years. Came out in 1993. Mega Man X series is like a sequel to the Mega Man series, but they haven't stopped making Mega Man games. In fact, Mega Man 11 came out in 2018. There was a big break.
I knew this was going to be when as soon as you said Mega Man, I knew it wasn't going to be sure. When you said Mega Man X, I was thinking Mega Man 10.
Yeah, I know, but Mega Man 10 was a different game. Also, Mega Man 10 was actually an 8-bit.
I'm not a Mega Man player.
No, well,
I didn't even know they were still making them.
Kind of. So Mega Man 8 was the last Mega Man game they made for a really, really, really long time, and they just stopped that series.
Yeah.
They're still making like some Mega Man X games. They made a lot of different spin-off series like Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Legends.
People play these.
Yeah, they're great. You've
Okay.
never played any of these?
No.
Okay, so we're going to do a segment where I recommend really good video games to you, and then you play them and I watch you.
Okay.
Because I love these games so much that I can vicariously enjoy them for the first time through you.
Oh, that sounds like a mom trying to get her daughter to do cheerleading because she was never a cheerleader as a kid.
Okay.
That's what we call that segment, cheerleading.
Moving on. Pac-Man or Space Invaders?
Fuck, I'm gonna say Space Invaders anyway.
It is Space Invaders. You're
Okay.
trying to assume everything's a trick. It's not.
I'm not trying to assume everything is a trick. I was imagining both games in my head, and Space Invaders makes more sense because it has less color.
Yeah. Space Invaders and Pac-Man are probably the two best well-known classic games. Well, I mean, I guess Donkey Kong. But like Donkey Kong to me, like just was the ushering in of a new era of arcade games. Galaga was like a kind of a pseudo sequel to Space Invaders.
That's what I played as a kid.
I also loved Galaga.
Yes.
So Space Invaders came out in 1978. Pac-Man came out in 1980.
That makes sense to me.
All right, and just one left: Fallout or Baldur's Gate.
Oh, I should know that. I'm pretty sure it's Baldur's Gate.
Nope. The apocalyptic
Really?
sci-fi Fallout preceded D&D-inspired fantasy Baldur's Gate. Fallout came out in 1997, Baldur's Gate in 1998, and both are beloved classics of the early computer RPG era.
That is crazy. I'm a huge Fallout fan. I should have known that, but I don't like the originals.
So you're not a real Fallout fan.
Yes, I was about to specify. I'm not a real Fallout fan. I like the fancy new ones with guns.
Just gatekeep the hell out of that.
I mean, I really just wish they'd remake the first ones. Even if they did it in like...
Remake them as, like...
I wouldn't necessarily say as that. I would say they should remake them as like...
More modern CRPGs like Divinity?
The example I saw, someone made like a first person, but it was in the style of Wolfenstein. That'd be what I'd want. Because that would kind of be... There wouldn't be very much work with the combat and everything. It'd just be very Wolfenstein-y, but you could still have all the elements that you would like. And you could probably even use some assets from the original.
I should clarify, I've never played Fallout 1 or 2.
I tried, I didn't like them.
They're old
Yeah.
computer RPGs. I've never been able to really get into those.
I can't. Especially when I started off with Fallout 3.
See, I want to like them. I appreciate those games for just the brilliance and, like, the writing and all that stuff.
Of course.
But not something that I've ever been ever been able to get into just because of the nature of like those old games.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically enough, because I talk about being a big fan of retro games. What that really means is that I'm a big fan of retro console games,
Yeah.
specifically Nintendo games.
Well, they're the best. They're some of the best out there.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm biased.
I just like games I played as a kid, and that's just those 3 series. I played a little bit of Jak and Daxter, but I wasn't allowed with my cousins, and he wouldn't let me.
Oh. So you're like visiting, and he's like, no, I'm going to play this and make you watch, and you're not going to be allowed to try.
I was more like, I'm going to play this, and you can do whatever, and I'd be like, alright, I'm going to sit over here, and I'd do this. I'd just be sitting and doing nothing, and then he'd be over there playing. I'd be like, I might as well watch. But I can't appreciate them as much as I could, like Ratchet and Clank. Which apparently they're coming out with a new one.
Oh, you didn't see that?
My stepdad was watching the releases, so I was like, sure, I'll check them out. And I watched a couple of them, but I didn't actually see it.
It was probably the most impressive game on that PlayStation 5 reveal event.
That's actually insane to me, because he was like, because he's into like, you know, military shooters, into Fallout, he's like sneaking around, and even he was like, that game looks really good, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that was the one that was like, if we're going to showcase next-gen stuff, this is the one that's doing it. Because it's called a Rift Apart.
Oh, good.
And it's all about, like, dimension swapping, and there's, like, a sequence where he's, like, doing, like, a railroaded, like, jumping through different worlds, like, super fast and stuff. And, like, you would just imagine the load times, how it would be, and this is all seamless and beautiful. And, yeah, it looks nice.
I will say, I appreciated the series more when it was less about time travel and all that other bullshit, when it was more like Clank is a superstar in a movie theater, you have to protect him and shit like that. That was more fun to me.
Yeah. I don't know. You just kind of have to
also
be okay with the fact that Ratchet and Clank is going to always be different because of that movie.
I'd rather not think about that movie.
Alright, well, so what did you think of the quiz? Was that worth the time I put into coming up with all those questions?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You want to do a quiz or a game for me next week?
I'll try to think of something. You should prepare something in case I can't. My thought process is probably going to have to do with, like, I'm going to play you a sound, and then you respond to that sound in some way. Because that's what I'm used to in these sorts of things. I also just don't know what I would quiz you on. Probably Batman. I quiz you on Batman lore.
I was thinking of doing a Batman one.
Yeah.
One of my ideas for games was just like a name 3 kind of thing, where I just list, like, I'll take, like, something like Batman, I'll say, name 3 Batman villains, and we'll just see how fast you can go through all of these.
That would be really slow. I was, immediately when you said that, I was thinking, Joker, Clayface, Jackie Chan, fuck.
Jackie Chan?
That's a very niche internet meme, where name 6 things fast, and you name 5 of them, and the last one's always Jackie Chan. Fuck.
Did not know that.
It's not.
So you've been playing D&D again recently. You want to tell me about it?
Very much so. I want to tell you specifically about Silas, a friend of that you know and that I know, and his experience. Silas is very new to D&D. He has not played it. The only experience he had was when he was in the military, and it was a very poor experience. And he's been getting into it recently, and he really wanted to play. And we found another friend of ours has an older brother who is DMing. And he was like, hey, do you want to join? He asked me if I want to join. I was like, of course. Yeah, of course I want to play with you. His first character was a guy named Dr. McDoctorson.
I love that name.
He carried around a laminated card certifying that he was a doctor from Doctor University.
Oh my god.
And this is like this is supposed to be like in the 1800s. Think about that kind of era for England.
Yeah.
That's like the setting-ish. It's mishmash, so it's not entirely that.
Yeah.
That's the idea, that's the thought. And he's got this card. He goes, I'm a doctor, see? And it's just like, no. He talks a lot like this, where he'll go, I think that's quite nice, yes.
It's a little creepy.
It's very creepy. It's very hard to take seriously.
Well, that's good. I like that attitude going into D&D. So many, like, people take the game way too seriously, and that's why they end up not having fun.
I love it. But that's his first character, and his first character died because he convinced our friend Jake to give him a lust potion.
A lust potion.
A lust potion, and at the time he believed that the lust potion would make things want him.
Like if he drank it, then everything would find him attractive?
Yes, that is his belief. It is not that.
What does it do?
What it does is if you drink it, You find the first thing you see as overwhelmingly attractive and you go for it.
Oh, so like a love potion, like a date rape.
Yes,
drug.
like a date rape drug, unfortunately.
That's a little dark.
He didn't know that, and he convinced Jake to give it to him by giving him all his money. And every time, Jake, whose character's name is Flarby, he's like an old prospector who's in the grenades.
I love this so much.
I know.
love these characters.
Flarby's like, I don't think you think this does what it actually does. You probably shouldn't take this. And he's like, no, give it to me. I'll give you all of my money. And then he gives them the potion, gives him all of his money. He drinks it, and then he goes and dies. These cultists are going after him, and they're chasing him, and he's like, he drinks the potion with the intent of them falling in love with him so that he won't be captured. The opposite, of course, happens, and he just goes and gets himself killed immediately.
That's beautiful.
The DM had specifically asked us to not give that potion to people, because Jake and I both play alchemists.
Yeah.
So we both have access to it. And he said, please don't give that to players, because it's a bit overpowered and broken and unfair for them. And we were like, of course. But Silas was literally begging for it. So of course Jake gave it to him, and since Silas paid...
How did he react to dying in this way?
He was like, as soon as he found out what the drug actually did, he was like, oh fuck! He was fine with it though. He was like, this happens, I'll just keep playing. And his second character might be my favorite ever.
Okay, I have not heard anything about his second character so far.
His second character is a Kekaku, which is a bird person.
A Kenku?
Kenku, yes, that's it. I knew you would know. He dresses in a plague doctor. That's his class. He's a plague doctor class.
Oh, okay, so he uses like the Kenku beak as like the plague doctor
No,
beak.
he has an actual mask that he puts over that.
Okay.
In order to pretend to be a person.
Oh, okay.
And every single time, the character, whose name, by the way, is something along the lines of the Midnight Doctor.
The Midnight Doctor.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. Every time he enters a room or has any conversation, he goes, hello!
Okay.
And you might think that would get annoying really quick, and you'd be completely wrong. It's like the funniest shit ever. And it's at the point where he does it so loudly that if we're in the city, occasionally I'll hear him like whisper, hello. And that's him saying it on the other side of the town.
I'm so glad to hear this. I'm so glad to hear that like Silas's first experience is good. I'm so glad to hear that his characters are like creative and great.
I adore that character.
Did I ever tell you about the last time I tried to play D&D?
No.
I was trying to get a couple of my coworkers into it.
Okay.
I was like, okay, I'll DM for you guys. I'll teach you all both how to play. You know, and oh man, my friend, we'll just call him Jeremy. He just goes straight towards the crappy edgelord,
of course,
kind of stuff that I hate. Like he wanted to play as a paladin, and he wanted to play as a tiefling paladin, and he wanted to be that avenging build. You know, the one that's just like I'm a violent badass character. Yeah. And his character is a tiefling, like an armored tiefling in black armor with a scythe. And I hate
fun.
This. I wanted to make a thing where I was just going to have the players come up with their own gods instead of using any sort of like preordained setting things. And he comes up with like this like sun god kind of thing. I'm like, oh, it could be cool. It could be like a god of like harvest. That's why you've got a scythe, you know?
Yeah.
I like tried to steer this into a neat world building thing. Nah, it's like this vengeance god, this like badass thing.
Of course.
My other coworker, we'll call him Phil. He made a pretty generic sort of rogue, which I feel like a lot of people who are interested in trying D&D but not really interested in investing themselves too much usually do.
Yeah,
a rogue is nice and flexible.
It was my first one.
Yeah, it's a great starter character. You can be a little amoral if you want to be. You can be a little silly if you want to be. You can explore the spectrum of D&D.
There's lots of places to go.
But Jeremy, unfortunately, just went full on edgelord. That's the thing. It bothers me. It reminds me of like young teenagers, 13-year-old boys, like trying to get into this at the first. I think I did something like this. When I first played, and obviously that was a mistake.
My first character's name was Zithalus.
Zithalus,
and it sounded, it sounds an awful lot like syphilis. So I was made fun of a lot for that. Fairly, I'd argue.
Yeah.
I think if I recall, I tried to make him kind of like that. but I was really focused on making him chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
So I'd make him like just do crazy things. Like at one point, I flirted with a barmaid, which just meant I was flirting with your younger brother.
Okay.
That's just what happened, and it was really awkward. But that's what he would do. So I was like, "That's what it's supposed to do. I gotta keep going."
I like using when we're talking about D&D alignments. I like using chaos as like a random idea of chaos and not just a rule breaking one, because that is so much less interesting. It's like you basically I lost track of what I was saying.
We were talking about Zithlus and starting out characters, and mine was names. I believe I did something along those lines.
Chaotic stuff. I was thinking about alignments. Just chaotic neutral is the alignment that everyone ends up going towards because they don't want to be pigeonholed into being good, and they want to break rules, but they don't want to be considered evil.
I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. You said chaotic neutral, and it made me really laugh.
Chaotic what?
You said chaotic neutral.
Neutral. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, but you're right. I was a chaotic neutral because I didn't know what else to be. And nowadays, if I have to pick an alignment, which I usually don't.
Well, no, I just play without alignments because they're not actually that great.
They're not. I don't think they're necessary. I don't think they do anything.
They don't.
Except the only thing they might do is someone who doesn't really recognize it is they would minimize the amount of things they can do.
It's more fun in a video game where you start neutral and you build towards an alignment.
Yes, like
Infamous. It's not fun in an RPG where you pick an alignment right away and now you just like have to play a certain way.
Exactly.
Which suddenly it's like, yeah, okay, I guess I really wish I didn't choose to be lawful good because now I can't do the thing I want to do.
Yeah, and nowadays if I have to pick one, I'm so used to playing with Alex. He doesn't do evil campaigns.
Yeah.
He never does them. And I've never really played evil. I don't know how at this point. I don't think I could.
It's something that's not cracked up what it's cracked up to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like, in video games, they always have that, like, evil option, and when it's done well, it's just silly and fun, you know? It's like, I'm causing mayhem and destruction against these obviously not real video game characters.
Yeah.
If they're being actually evil, then it just makes me kind of feel bad.
And it's like, it's D&D. It's not real. You know that. There's even less to visualize, but like, there's more reaction. I guess is the best way to put it. The closest thing we ever did was we did a Star Wars campaign.
Yeah.
And we played as Darth Vader's right-hand man. We were basically the hand.
Okay. That's a good...
Position.
I'd play Sith characters in a D&D RPG. No problem.
I would really, really like it if Star Wars had a better RPG. That's a different discussion.
That is a different discussion.
Anyway, Silas. Back to that, not to derail. But yeah. Silas, I fucking love his character so much. We were playing, and he's trying to, like... My biggest issue with his character is he's very bad at succeeding, and I don't mean that he rolls bad. I mean that he just, like... He went into a surgeon's area because he's a plague doctor. He has lots of medical things.
Okay.
And he has a thing that makes it so if you rub it on a scar, the scar goes away. And he asks the DM, he's like, are there surgeons around? And the surgeon's around, and the DM goes, there's a titty doctor, and there's a regular surgeon.
I'm sorry, what was that first one?
Titty doctor, plastic surgeon.
Okay.
There's plastic surgeries in this. I don't know why.
Whatever.
I'm cool with it, yeah. But he goes to the regular surgeon and goes, I have this thing, and if you rub it on your skin, there's no scarring. And the regular surgeon is like, I don't care about that. None of my patients do. He literally, like, opens the cage. He's like, any of you give a shit about your scars? I'm like, no.
Okay.
And his wife points out, the DM's wife points out, is, hey, some people have different beauty standards. And I was like, that's a fucking great point, but he didn't go to the titty doctor. He went to the regular doctor.
Silas is kind of allergic to success.
Yeah.
Like, when we play board games with him, and he just always seems to do the wrong thing, and when everyone tries to point out that he's doing the wrong thing, he just seems to think that
doubles down.
Well, he doubles down. I wonder if he doesn't believe us, like we're trying to play against him, and we're trying to trick him. I mean, I've done that before, like when we played Dune.
Yes.
That actually made me feel bad.
Yeah. I would assume.
But... The point is that he'll so often make the wrong choices, and he'll so often double down on those choices.
But at least in this instance, it just works.
In D&D, it's fun. It's funny.
It's so fun.
Because it's not competitive. It doesn't matter if you're not winning, if you're taking the wrong choices, because you're going to have fun regardless if you win or lose.
But the thing is, he got rejected by this doctor because he's trying to work for him for money. And then he goes to the titty doctor, and he doesn't even bring up that he has the thing that removes the scarring. And I'm like, why?
Because he's Silas.
I think he thought it'd be too meta. Because I was the one who pointed out that he should have gone to the titty doctor with this. And I felt like he would have been like, oh, I thought of it. That would be too much.
Man, I've talked about metagaming before and how it's just not that big a deal.
Well, in this instance, it actually kind of is. Because it's, we're all at different places on an island.
Okay.
We're not really...
I mean, it's completely reasonable to think, okay, well, this other doctor shot me down. I'm going to go to this doctor now and do the same thing. It's just...
Of course, that's
you
perfectly
don't need
reasonable.
to, metagame to
In
come
that
up with
instance,
that.
I would say yes. I think I don't think it was at metagaming. I don't know if that's why, actually, he didn't do it.
Yeah, okay.
So, to be fair, because I know he's going to listen to this, so I don't want him to think that I know why he did everything. I don't. In this instance, though, we're playing as a scattered party, essentially, on a small island. And we all kind of do our own thing. I'm Willy Wonka, I should mention.
Literally Willy Wonka?
Almost literally. I'm an alchemist, and every potion I make is, instead of it being a potion, it's a candy.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, DM loves it too. He loves it. And I've been trying... My goal is to create the Willy Wonka factory.
Oh my god.
That is the goal I'm working toward, and the way I'm doing that is I'm trying to get up in a corporate sense. I'm basically trying to capitalistically take over this entire island.
You're a candy capitalist.
Yes, and I'm trying to take over it so that I can make my candy.
I love this so much.
And that's who I am. Silas, where was my train of thought going?
I don't know.
Okay, train of thought. We're a scattered party. So when you think about the differences between using meta knowledge, if you're not at the house and someone else is in the bazaar, and they make a revelation, they find out that where the cult is, it would be too much if the people at the house were able to prepare for that.
Yeah.
That was the point. That's what I was trying to say. Just because that's how the party's operating.
I guess it's the one scenario, I suppose,
Yeah.
I mean, it's also very easy to just not metagame in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's more for, when I criticize, people's over-negativity around metagaming, it's usually that kind of very simple, accidental metagaming that happens all the time at the table.
Yeah.
Where I'm just I'm not going to make a big deal about that. It's just not worth it.
I want to also tell you about how I ended up moving out of that house in the game. We all had a communal house, because we just basically found a house and took it.
Okay.
Because it's very, it's an island. Everyone on the island is coming from somewhere else. It's very mysterious.
Yeah, it's a mysterious island.
Yes, and we don't know how to get off.
They're like giant crabs and stuff?
No, we just can't leave.
Oh.
And there appear to be people from different time zones and a giant bird man.
It's a classic movie.
Okay. I haven't seen it, I'm sorry.
It's an old movie. I think it's a Ray Harryhausen.
Do you know the name?
Mysterious Island.
Mysterious Island? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was doing a thing.
I mean, I'm with you. I just want to make sure everyone knew the name.
It's Mysterious Island. It's a movie. It's not actually that good. If I'm going to recommend a Ray Harryhausen movie, I got a bunch of others I'd recommend before that one.
Anyway.
Sinbad's Golden Voyage, for one.
Okay. Anyway.
I'm waffling.
Anyway, the island. What was I trying to say?
I don't know. I'm sorry. That's my fault. You were talking about the house that you were moving out of.
Yes. So we're all cooped up in this house. I went to work. I was the only one who got a job, because obviously, I'm trying to enterprise here.
Don't you guys do D&D stuff in your D&D game?
Not really.
Adventures.
Not
fighting monsters. Dungeons.
He has plans for that.
Dragons.
We have to get off the island first.
Okay.
There are other things. I like the way it is. I genuinely like the structure. I like the lack
it sounds
of
great.
It's honestly really fun.
I'm just joking around.
I went to do my job because I got a job like a person would, and when I came home, they had murdered 4 cultists in our house and committed domestic terrorism.
Okay.
So what had happened was
that's very D&D-ish.
4 of the cultists came and tried to capture one of the people that they're after, which is one of our parties. Silas, this is when Silas's character entered, basically. Silas decided to nab them with a needle for some reason, and they were like, I'm going to fight you now. And he was like, no!
Does he say everything in that tone of voice?
Not everything, but everything.
Hello!
Hello! No, you don't need to fight me.
No.
He does this a lot with his hands where he's moving them back and forth.
It kind of like I'm trying to describe the gesture for our listeners.
It's like he's like waving them. Woo.
Like a swirly wave, almost like a bizarre...
Almost like a singular wave at a baseball game.
I was thinking of like crappy, like fake belly dancing you'd see in like a cartoon parodying like Middle Eastern culture or something like that.
That's a good example.
Something that's not how they dance, it's just racist.
But he does that, and he tries to hit him with a needle. It wasn't to kill them or anything. He just did it, and they were like, "We're gonna fight you now." And him and the person who's the DM's wife fought him off. Brenda, that's her D&D name.
Brenda?
Yes.
I like that.
They keep fighting them off, and I come home, I see the bodies, I'm like, what the fuck? And then behind me is Flarby, which is Jake's character,
okay.
And he had just blown up a fishing stall, because the mob had him do it, and I was like, hey, I work in the fish market. I'm a manager over there.
Okay.
I knew that this happened. I knew that there had been a large explosion because I heard it, and I was like, hey, do you know anything about a large explosion that happened? He's like, I got no idea. And then, apparently, he had done it too big. It was too big of an explosion.
Okay.
He used 2 grenades and blew up like 4 stalls. And the mob came by and was like, hey, you can't use, like, you did too much. And it became a whole thing. He's like, you gotta pay for that. I'm like, okay. So my character is like, I'm leaving. And I left the house because I'm like, I'm not trying to be, I'm trying to be a capitalist.
You're trying to be a candy capitalist.
Yeah, I'm not trying to kill people. That's not the end goal here. If they're dead, they can't produce money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's been fun so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're describing to me like an ideal kind of like D&D session, you know? It's everyone's enjoys their characters, everyone enjoys everyone else's characters. It's very, very like humorous.
Right now, I'm pretty sure Brenda is gonna die.
That's a shame.
Is
the DM going to kill her?
No, not intentionally, I guess. So she rolled something. She got a 1. It was to do with her mind, so the DM made her roll on the insanity chart.
Oh, the insanity chart.
Yes, and what she got was that she had a taste for killing.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a...
And she was playing like basically a pacifist before this.
I love the storytelling there.
So
she went a little bit crazy, and she went from being a pacifist to like getting her first taste of blood.
Yes. And she murdered a shopkeep who didn't try to help her like instantly.
Okay.
It was the plastic surgeon to change her face. And she's like, hey, can you change my face? I don't have that much gold to pay you, but I'd really appreciate it. And he's like, I can't do that. So she killed him. And she got away with that one. And then she went to the hardware store and killed that guy.
What did he do?
He refused to sell her an axe.
Jesus Christ. She took the axe, I take it.
No. She actually got her ass beat. She threw the wrench instead of hitting it. Because she had a wrench instead of what she wanted. And a guard came in and beat the crap out of her, and she ran. And right now she's in the house, and I think Silas is there, and I don't know what's going to happen. That's tomorrow's session. It's going to be fun.
How many sessions have you played so far?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I think I know how to beat it, but I don't want to say.
How to beat it?
I think, because the idea is you have to get off the island. I think I know how, but I don't know if I'm right or not, and I'm kind of like, I don't have no reason in-game to test it. Because it's like one of those things. It's either going to be the end. It's either going to be the solution, or you're going to die. There's no in between.
Interesting.
So, at some point I might try it, but also my character doesn't care about leaving the island as long as he can make his candy factory.
That's fair.
And also, I think it would be pretty good to make the factory on this mystery island because it's Willy Wonka's factory.
Yeah. You can still leave the island from your factory. You just build a factory there, you go on some adventures, you come back, you always have your factory island to come back to.
I really don't want to, spoil it.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it, because, Silas is going to be part of this, too. And
my thing is, I think I know exactly what the DM's trying to do, and I just don't want to be like, this is what he's doing, and I don't want Silas or someone else to listen to it and be like, oh, and they try it. and then it turns out to be totally correct, and it's like, oh, I feel like I ruined that.
Let's just, we'll have an update on this session later.
Yes, I'm playing again tomorrow, so.
Alright. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add about this D&D game?
I'm enjoying it a lot.
Okay.
Anything you would like to add to the conversation as a whole?
No, I'm just kind of loving it, hearing about this. I don't have any feedback.
Yeah.
I haven't played D&D in a while, you know that?
Yeah.
D&D is something I love, but I also... It also doesn't mesh very well with me. I feel like I like a lot of D&D similar things more than D&D itself.
I think when we discussed it, we came to the conclusion that you really like a lot of the things that you don't want to do in D&D.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, role-playing is a perfect example. That's what makes the game fun.
And you don't like role-playing.
What's good about it. I personally don't like doing it.
Yeah.
But if I know a good D&D game when I see one, and it's one that has lots of role-playing going on.
That's my favorite part. That's one of the things I'm having so much fun with in this one.
Otherwise, if people just cared about, like, the combat, I'm like, well, I could play Warhammer, or I could play any of my strategy board games, you know?
Yeah, I don't... Combat is so weird.
Yeah, some people love it.
I think there are ways to make it better. That's
Yeah,
my thought
definitely.
process.
Always ways to make it better. But it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not enough to where...
I might talk more about, like, D&D and my relation to it later, but... Like, for now, I'd rather just hear about your sessions, because I like that.
Would you be willing to play a D&D game while we record it?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. I'd have to get a different microphone, but I think it'd be fun.
If we could get Alex involved, that would be the one I'd want.
Yes.
Alex and Silas, because it turns out that Silas just seems to be the guy you want to play with.
Should Alex DM?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Alex is the best DM.
He's my favorite.
Alright, let's just wrap that up then.
Yeah. Alright, thank you for listening if you did. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're wrapping up the whole podcast now.
Oh, do you have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't. We're not going to talk about news, so...
There's no news. I don't follow the news.
There is news, but we're not talking about it. It's not... There's news, it's just not conversation news.
I don't want to needlessly date our podcast. I don't want people to listen to this years down the road and be like,
I like the idea that if they listen to this, it can apply to any news that they're at. 5 years from now, they can listen to this and go, yeah, that's true.
Even though we're talking about, like, contemporary games and stuff.
Yeah. Well, just this specific part.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, this is the end. Thank you for listening. I've been The Gigger.
The Gigger? Is that going to be a thing now?
Actually, my Twitch name is The Gigger Man.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not to brag or anything. Not to, like plug it.
Follow me on Twitch at thegiggertv.tv.
The Gigger Man.
Thegiggerman.tv.
It sounds so bad.
That does sound pretty bad.
I only did it because Gigger was taken. It was not taken.
Why was Gigger taken?
I don't know. Who would take it?
And I'm Benjamin. Benjamin. I don't really have a tag that I want to share with people.
I was gonna say I don't think we could even use that one. Everyone uses Benjamin because it's how it's spelled.
I'm not gonna use Benjamin. You can call me that, but that's not my thing.
Should we do like a conversation? I'll just use the voice, the sound, or the music to pay it out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think we're doing it right now.